Are you, well, before I ask you that, Natasha, right before I came in here, she was like, because, Natasha's a bit of a performer, this.
Yes, I'm aware.
And, in her industry, they say Papa Pasty, right? Papa Pasty is the burlesque version of break a leg, right? And
Okay.
both of these are things like you hope you don't do, but you say
Right,
it to, rather, because you'll jinx it if you say, have a good show, right?
right.
And she was like, what do I say? What do you say to a podcaster? And I was like, forget to hit record, something like that. I just looked out of her. So I
Yeah,
think she shortened it. She said, don't hit record or delete the file. I think so either delete the file or don't hit record, I think is the
yeah, that
podcaster
works.
version.
Yeah,
Yeah. Don't hit record. God. That's what they say, right? You're not a real podcaster until you forget to record a show,
which we've
which
done.
raise your hand. Yeah. Are you familiar? I'm going to ask you two questions. Then I'm going to ask you a third question that has to do with the first two.
Oh,
So, are
okay.
you familiar with the acronym MEMAL?
Meme,
Now,
meme.
now, not MEMA, MEMAL, MEMAL, MIMAL, MEMAL.
No, no, I'm not.
I'm going to introduce something to you. I'm going to introduce some lore to you called MEMAL.
Okay.
Now, clearly, you're familiar. Clearly, you're familiar with Rule 34 of the internet, right?
Yes, of course.
You want to explain that to the audience really quick so I don't have to?
Yeah. So whenever there's an argument on the internet, at some point Hitler has to come up. Is
Nope. No, that's Godwin's law.
oh
Meemaw, you know
oh
what?
there's
Meemaw,
porn about it.
I mean, sorry, it's Rule 34 is proven by the fact that Godwin's law has fell to Rule 34, which
There's porn
is
about it. There's porn about
whatever
it.
you can think of that
There's
someone has sexualized it on the internet.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
So let's go back. I'm going to talk to you about what Meemaw is. So Meemaw is, some people say it's an elf, some people say it's a chef. If you type it into your Google just so you can get an image search of it, Meemaw is MIMAL is the states Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, which make a straight line down from top to bottom, bisecting the country, and
Okay.
kind of looks like a little guy. Did you type Meemaw in your search? Did you look at it?
I was just listening to you describe it. I didn't actually type it in, but I am now.
So take a gander. It gives the listeners a
Oh
time to
yeah.
look at it.
I,
Looks like a little guy, right?
little guy. Yeah.
Meemaw has proven Rule 34 to not be true.
How so?
Well, I decided to see if there's Meemaw porn, and it doesn't exist.
Oh
I looked for
no.
it, Alan. I looked.
You
I was
looked.
like, Meemaw is a kind of fun, like online little thing, and then I was like, I wonder if somebody's ruined this with the internet. I will say there is one exception to this. I'm going to share this,
Okay.
but I'm only going to share part. How do I share only Jesus? There's so much of this screen I do not want to share. Okay, I can go like this. Here's what I'll do. I'll go like this. There, that works. I think that'll work. So I'm going to show you. There is one instance of Meemaw being Rule 34'd, and it's that right there.
Oh.
It's Tennessee is its dick. And then if you add boots onto a section of Germany, if you add two Italies onto Europe, you can do what this guy did, which was have Meemaw violently. Well, we won't talk about that. We don't have to talk about that. Yeah, so Meemaw has violated Rule 34, and I think we're a better place because of it. Like I have more hope in society than I did
We have
prior
there's
to.
yeah, there's some hope in humanity. Sure.
Yeah, yeah. I have a clip that I'm going to play to open the show that too many people have sent in for me to give credit to. This will be a quick hitter, so I better get. Ah, fuck! I forgot to do the little sound at the beginning of the show.
Oh no.
Nobody knows they're listening to None Taken or heard this. Nobody heard this. Oh, all right. Every once in a while, we'll do it that way. At least I got that in there. I feel better about that.
Yeah. Feels good.
Feels good. Okay. Well, now I'm all
On the whole.
flustered because I realized something. You know what? Something felt wrong, and now it feels better. So it's okay now. Too many people sent this in to give credit to it. This is a little quick hitter. So they're filming a lady running a distance finish, a long distance run. This is lap 7 of 7. 7 of 7. She's been running for 3 hours and 20 minutes at this point. And, the human body does what the human body does, Alan. And she just wants to make sure the camera isn't paying attention to it. I think I've over-explained it. Here you go.
And she went all in.
Myself? So can you not get my ass? Yeah. Thank you.
Let me in his damn house.
Should we record?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
All right, you ready?
I am ready. Are you recording?
Yes. All right, well, you want to start a show?
Let's start a show.
That podcast is filling your head with garbage.
No offense taken there.
Well, it sounds like none taken. Boom! To episode number 419 of None Taken, the internet's only debate and current events show with your hosts Dustin and Alan, two political nomads from two different worlds. Shout out to Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band for the use of their song Ways and Means for intro music. Thank you for joining us. At the time of this recording, it is Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. It's a great day for America. We are two coastal elites coming to you from the shores of the mighty Cumberland in Madison, Tennessee, all the way to the Pacific waters of El Cerrito, California. Here to recap another week of our tragic personal life. And fuck if I know. I'm trying to read it off my phone instead of how I used to have it before I got the new
Taking
computer.
a sledgehammer to the culture war.
Echo chambers. Yes. That's right, Alan. Please subscribe right now to. There's one place. There's one place you should go. You should go to nonetakenpod.com. From there, you could subscribe to the podcast. You can join. You can join the Patreon for free. You'll get a notification that we've done something. I'm sure occasionally we'll have something free there for you. But by and large, that's the place where we get a little bit of scratch from y'all because you love us so much. Starts at $3 a month, goes up to $18, depending on which level you want to be a supporter at. At the $18 level, we send you a Culture Warrior Veteran T-shirt. If you don't want that, just DM me. You got to DM me either way because there's no way to automatically send it. We're not that fancy. If more people subscribe, we can get some automated service that does that. But just DM us. DM us on Instagram. Oh, we're also on Blueski. We just created a Blueski account. Have you joined Blueski yet, Alan?
I have not. No.
Blueski, it's I believe it's by the people that created Bluey. They have a social media account now. I'm being silly. It's pronounced blue sky.
Blue sky.
Applesauce. Yes. But you can DM us on Instagram. We'll send you over a shirt. If you don't want the Culture War Veteran shirt, I'm not going to be offended. The show's called None Taken. You tell us what you want from the shop. We'll send it to you. But anyways, head on over to nonetakenpod.com to join the Patreon or subscribe to the show. Once you subscribe to the Patreon, you get access to the private RSS feed. So if you don't want to have to watch us, how dare you? You can get, it'll show up in your podcast player once you subscribe to that RSS feed. And then if you stop paying to be on the Patreon, you don't get access anymore. Sneaky. You don't get to sneak past that. Yeah, it's just $3. It's banana money. Give us your banana money. Do you see the Washington Post broke down how much the election cost in bananas? I was like, what the fuck? This is our thing. What the hell?
We've been doing that forever already.
Yeah.
Everything you need for None Taken is at nonetakenpod.com. We got a merch store over there. You can get hoodies. You can get hats. You can get all kinds of cool shit. All the RSS feeds, all the social feeds, everything you need None Taken is at nonetakenpod.com. Also, don't forget to support the people that support us. SlickestDigital.com for all your SEO and marketing needs. SlickestDigital.com.
All right. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. What is up, everybody? Hope you all are having a great week. We're almost to the end of November already. It's a wild time. I didn't really get up too much this week. How about you, man? Did you have any fun?
Natasha had one of her girly friends was in town, Michelle. We had a good time going around showing her all the stuff. She's never been to Nashville before, or she hadn't been to Tennessee, so we ended up showing her around. It was a good time.
You got 3
it was
just
just
telling me.
No, no, no. We're both in committed relationships, Alan. Yeah. How dare you? Yes, and so. I mean, we're not gonna, just give you the hit list of all the bars we went to and stuff, but it was a nice, fun, alcohol-fueled weekend.
Nice.
I wanted
saw
to
some
ask
pictures
you,
on Insta. It was pretty. It seemed like
it was a good time. We did some fine dining. It was really good. We went to a nice restaurant downtown. It's I think it's Justin Timberlake's restaurant, and somebody we know knew somebody and got us reservations and paid full price. So
That's cool.
it was definitely full price. I'll tell you that much. Jesus Christ, man, fuck me, dude. It was a good time though. It was really good. Great steak. It was like it was so good. Even the Caesar salad was like, wow, that's better than most. What the hell?
Oh. Okay.
What I actually been wanting to ask you. Can we see that thumb? Let's see that thumb. As listeners, Alan put his thumb in the door. Okay, I wish I didn't ask. Take it away. Why is that nail still on there? That nail looks like it shouldn't be. No. I didn't ask you to show me again.
It's not good. Yeah.
Okay, but it doesn't look infected.
No, I don't think it's infected. It's gonna come off eventually, obviously. But yeah, it's not good.
Is there any pain other than the pressure?
There is a little bit of pain, but for the most part, it's just kind of dull, and even the feeling on the like the tip of it is kind of diminished.
Oh, that's not good. That's normally where it feels the best. I too had a thumb incident this week. I sliced my thumb, and up until like yesterday, if I wasn't careful with it, it would still start bleeding. I 100% should have got stitches, but I don't know if you've ever had stitches.
Were you like cutting?
No, let's just say this for recording reasons. I was not at work, but I was doing something like a work-related activity, but I was definitely not at work.
Okay.
And I got it stuck into a gear. The machine was off, and like this gear was like it was supposed to rotate to get. I was trying to align a gear so the chain would be in the proper timing, and I wasn't familiar with the machine, and it just felt like it just turned very slowly, and then all of a sudden it didn't turn slowly, and then my thumb went into the chain and the gear very briefly. Luckily, very briefly, it didn't get stuck there. And short enough time, I was like, oh, that's just going to bruise. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of blood. Wow. And then I patted it down, pinched it together, washed it while it was like painful. I was like, just get all this pain out now. Like washed it really thoroughly, wrapped it up with gauze and kept an eye on it. Like an hour later, like it immediately, like it didn't bleed through the gauze. So I was like, well, it's going to stop bleeding. That's a good sign. But like I should have got stitches, but I don't know if you've ever had stitches on the tip of a finger. I'd rather just deal with it healing. Oh yeah, God, they hurt. Because they give you the shots, and the shots are incredibly painful. And like, other than a certain part of your body, there probably aren't other parts of your body that have more nerve endings than the tips of your fingers. It's just, yeah, I've had that before, and I didn't want to do it again. So I was like, no, I'll take my fucking chance. I'll use some super glue if I fucking have to. And it healed up. It's good. It's not bleeding anymore. It's good now. I had an observation that I wanted to point out. This is something that happened last weekend, but it's just, I wrote this down in the just asking questions, sort of like little jokes that we do either at the start of the show or coming back from half. And I didn't say it, but I didn't want to get too far into the future without mentioning it. We went to a British cafe, British themed cafe.
Okay.
And they were selling meat pies. And I took one look at them and I was like, meat pies are just British empanadas.
Yes. 100%. That's 100% true. Yeah.
Same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. They probably
Me and
stole
Natasha,
it.
they probably did steal it. Yeah, wow, these Peruvians are really onto something. So me and Natasha got two meat pies and split them. When they brought one to them, one of them was clearly older and cold.
Oh, that's not good.
And then Natasha gave me the old meat pie. You want to get into our comedy segment?
Let's do it.
I meant the older one, not like it's like not like a euphemism for something else, Although it did sound like it the way
Of course
I emphasized.
not. Of course, we were just talking about empanadas.
The old meat pie. Let's write that down. The old meat pie. This is who sent this one in? Thrash sent this one in. This is Trav. This is Trav Stevenson.
Mom used to make me cut a switch. Has anyone ever done that?
His mom.
Raising your hand. See how well behaved? Maybe it worked. For those of you who don't know, my mom would give me a knife. I'd have to go outside and cut a limb off of a tree, and then she would use that to teach me a lesson. And no matter how many lessons she taught me, I never learned that I could have just kept the knife. Oops. Looks like you brought a switch to a knife fight, dumbass. No, Donna, I think you should go to your room. Yeah, not so tough now, are you, bitch? And then just stab your mom, you know?
All right. Oh, Kamala Harris is still in the soundboard. That reminded me, do you have any instances of your mom, like, getting a little, these moms always overreacted to things, you know?
I always heard the story about having to cut your own switch, and it was just like, I don't think it ever really happened. Maybe it did. I don't know. I didn't believe
To some
it.
people? Or
Yeah.
Oh, it happened.
It happened?
yeah.
You think it happened?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, well, you're about to hear from it, man. Boy. I mean, I'm sure Thrash is going to tell us, but I don't know who else. It's going to be a lot of people. My one is the time that I was on the phone with a friend, and my mom came in to yell at me about something I did, and I didn't have very good emotional regulation. So my version of like telling her I didn't do it was to like, you remember when phones had giant wands for antennas?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
The wireless phone in the house, not the cell phone, right?
Yeah.
And I picked up and I held my phone like this, like I didn't do that, something like that, right? And she's just like, you're waving it around at me like you're gonna hit me with it. And then when my dad came home, you know, she told him that's what happened, and I had to get hit more.
Jeez.
Yeah, these fucking moms, I tell you.
Trauma.
You know? Nameless sent a bit in. I can't believe you thought picking a switch off a tree was fake. Adrian Peterson got in trouble for that. He made his kid do it, and they were like, "You can't be hitting your kid."
I do remember that. Yeah.
You know what? I like this version. Alan's saying that Adrian Peterson never did nothing. Adrian Peterson ain't done nothing. This is a bit Nameless sent in. This is a guy saying that he wants to, you know, you're trying to find the right person, right? You know, you just want to find a nice girl, right?
Oh, yeah. That's everybody's
Just
trying to find.
looking for a nice girl.
I want to marry a nice girl, like a coal miner's daughter. The type of girl that doesn't care if you come home late at night drunk wearing blackface.
It's a quick one.
That was the whole thing.
The whole joke. It's a coal miner's daughter, Alan.
Okay. I was expecting more.
Nope, that was it. Yeah,
That was it.
We're keeping it tight. You know, we're gonna move on.
Keep it tight.
Try not to have too long of a show. That was Nameless. James sent this one in. This is Family Fired. Was it Family Fired? What's that say?
Family Fired. It's not
Okay,
Feud.
Family Fired. It is Feud. I used Swipe. Thanks for catching that. Family. It's a joke about Family Feud, Alan.
I know we love Family
This is Nick Murphy.
Feud, I love it too, but it's kind of a bullshit show. And they act like they're this wholesome sweetheart TV show, and then they throw these sexual questions at these wonderful families, and then they act shocked when they get a sexual answer. Steve Harvey will be like, name something you want to put in your wife's mouth that rhymes with genus. And then the poor guy is just like, a gun?
Oh, fuck. Dude, that guy's going to blow up, man. Nick Murphy, dude.
That was very funny.
That was good. We don't support spousal abuse. The gun part is a little too far, but it's just a chiste, Alan. It's just a chiste. Do you think our listeners speak enough Spanish to get that? It's just a chiste. Does it sound like I'm saying cheesesteak?
It does a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to not say cheesesteak when I say that. I've spent a long time thinking that I say cheesesteak when I say cheesesteak. I say cheesesteak a lot. I'm a bit of a cheesesteaker, Alan. A little bit of a cheesesteaker. This is from Slickets. This is what's my note say? Here's the whole sheet. Don't ghost people, guys. This guy's giving you some advice. Like, ghosting is really like, dude, I like to think that we grew up in a better time where it was kind of like one night stands were the thing in our generation. But like, you know, back then you didn't have ways to keep in touch with people, and it was sort of understandable. Now it's like, nope, you might find me. I have to ghost you, and you know, we'll never talk. Like, ghosting, it feels very rude. You know,
It's very
never
rude.
been a ghoster. Yeah,
No.
of course I am a serial monogamist. So, here's a loophole so that you don't have to ghost people. You can do this instead.
I'll tell you what, I would never ghost a gal. Do you guys know what ghosting a gal is?
Guessing he's Canadian. This is nope. Don't know.
Sounds Canadian. Yeah.
We don't got anyone's name. Pete. Pete.
Let's go with Pete. Yeah.
Okay, it's Pete.
Yeah. Ghosting a gal is when a man has sex with a lady and then afterwards he never calls her, texts her, or sees her again. He just vanishes.
Oh, I figured it out. It's Pete Lee. And then they wrote that 3 times. That's their name. Okay. Jesus. Just trying to make a brand and you make it as hard as fucking possible for people to read your account name. Okay, anyways, ghosting.
Like a ghost. Let me tell you what, don't do that, fellas. That is rude business, all right? No, put the power in her hands. Don't ghost. Smother. It's way more effective. Next time you have sex with a lady and she falls asleep next to you, send her an accidental text message. Send her a text message that says, "Hey, Mom, think I met the one." I can't be too sure, but I'm watching her sleep. I don't know. Sleep selfie. As soon as she wakes up, as soon as her peepers flutter open, your head needs to be right there. And go, "Hey, guess what?" And she'll be like, "What?" And you'll be like, "Forever starts right now."
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Don't ghost. Haunt.
Spooky season lasts forever. You guys can take that with you for the rest of the year. Oh, wait, I got a bit. That's Jasmine Crockett? I don't remember her first name. Jasmine sounds right. Okay, well, let's get, with that out of the way, thanks, Lickets. With that out of the way, let's get into our segment. I found this very interesting. This is big friend of the, what do we call it when we are fans of someone and they don't acknowledge our existence or return our requests to come on the show? What do you call that? Parasocial friend of the show?
Yeah,
Parasocial friend of the show. Jason Pargin, I swear to God, he's gettable. I know he's gettable.
He
just
has
doesn't
to
check
be.
his DMs, and I haven't tried harder than DMing him. I could find his fucking email and ask him to promote his book. That's what we'll do. He has got a new book. Okay, that's what we'll do. All right.
Let's do
That's
that.
what we'll do, Alan. All right.
All right.
We've done that before. That's how I've reached people before.
Totally done
Okay,
that before.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's got a theory here. My note for it is, as goes the saxophone. Look at that. As goes the saxophone, so goes American romance.
I think the solution to a lot of your problems is right here. Statistically, a lot of you out there are struggling to find someone to date, and part of the problem is that so many people just have no interest in it at all, to the point that the birth rates have declined worldwide. So I don't know, let's look at the graph. How do we get back to, let's say right here, the late 80s? Let's look at a random piece of media intended for young people back then, and let's see if we can detect an element that is missing from the culture today. The romance left our
Tenor
culture
sax.
at the exact same rate that the saxophone did. And young men, if you think I'm joking about this, learn to play the
I thought he was going to play Baker Street. That ba 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 da da.
sax. And I mean like this. And in fact, I say this to
Kenny
anyone
G
who
shit,
thinks
okay.
this is just a bit.
It's not Kenny G, dumbass. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put. I'm so sorry. That was I forgot who I was talking to. It was instinctual. It was reflexive, and you do not deserve that. That's Careless Whisper.
Try it. Seriously. The song you're hearing now is Careless Whisper by George Michael. Allegedly, they went through
Why should I have to change my name? He's the no talent ass clown.
something like 10 saxophone players to finally find one that could play this riff. But it used to be that you could not have a romantic scene in a movie without a saxophone playing. And in the lead single off the soundtrack, a sax was mandatory. This instrument was invented for this and this alone. I think the solution to a lot of your problems is right here.
Yeah, right there.
Statistically, a lot of you out there are struggling to find someone to date, and part of the problem is that so many people just have no interest in it at all.
No, they didn't
To the
start
point that the birth rates have declined worldwide. So I don't know, let's look at the graph. How do we get back to, let's say right here, the late 80s? Let's look at a random...
I'd say, wait, hold on.
Ever you looped.
I didn't hear it start though. I didn't hear the beginning of it. Was I talking through it?
I'm not sure.
Okay, but yes,
Bill Clinton taught us that, right? Like he had that.
Yeah, on Arsenio Hall. Yeah, right. Yes, but you mean the most sexual president ever? Him and JFK and Grover Cleveland. What?
Well, I mean, you kind of have to be a little bit if you're going to be the president. I think
Yeah, a little bit of a horn dog.
Yeah.
Is this Obama's bed? Who's going to pee on me? Do you think he just has a world tour of places where Obama's stayed at and asks women to pee on him there? Like, is that the thing?
That could
like
be
we
the
only
thing.
know about the Russian one, but there's not
Right.
like it's like And then he went to Macron's mansion and was like, "Which one's the Obama bed?" And let me get your finest French whores. Actually, your sloppiest French whores. Okay.
Yes, to all of that.
All right. Cody sent this. Oh, this is we got a Cody Tucker clip. This is the origin of a very famous TV show. Actually coincides with the Tulsa race riots and the Emmett Till murder.
14-year-old African-American child named Emmett Till was brutally lynched after a white woman claimed that he had tried to flirt with her at a store.
Fucking bitch. She died like last year or something. Remember that? And we were
Yeah.
like, just on your deathbed, say it. Say you know that you made this up. Who's in the elevator with me? You shouldn't have been there. Anyways, 1955.
The two men who committed the lynching received no punishment for their brutal crime. Americans across the country followed the news story closely, including a 30-year-old television writer who hoped to write a teleplay about the event. The sponsors would have none of it and completely changed the story as to not upset the white Southern audiences, even going as far as to remove any references to Coca-Cola in the screenplay because of its Southern connection. The writer decided it might be a little easier to present these issues on television in a more subtle way. He did this by confronting these social issues in the realm of science fiction. That man was Rod Serling, and the TV series he created was The Twilight Zone.
Oh, how about that?
Wow. Did you know that the Twilight Zone was inspired by that?
I had no idea.
Did you also know that it was Rod Serling and not Rod Sterling? I always thought it was Rod Sterling.
I always thought it was Sterling. Yeah.
Were you about to say that?
Yes.
That was actually the big fact for me when I heard that. I was like, well, hold on. It's not Sterling. I've been saying Sterling.
There's a T in there, I'm sure.
Yeah. Now I can't remember if it's Rod or Ron.
It's Rod.
Rod? Okay. Not a lot of rods anymore. What's that short for? Penis?
Rodney. Yeah, there's not a lot of rods.
Probably Rodney. Probably not.
Probably
penis.
Rod.
Rod's not short for penis. Probably Stump. Stump's short for penis. What's the fastest animal in the animal kingdom? This is
cheetah.
Tennessee's own, Nashville's own. Nate Bargatze has a podcast. It's a very clever name. It's Nateland podcast. You know, they can't all be none taken. I shouldn't be talking shit. Love to get you on the show. I'm sorry. Love you. Nate Bargatze has a podcast, and they're talking about the fastest animal in the animal kingdom. It's not the cheetah, Alan.
Just animal in the animal kingdom, the peregrine falcon.
So 200
You forgot about flying, didn't you?
Oh, I did forget about flying.
You know what, though? I think that you're upset. You should be upset because I think there's a little bit of a loophole in there.
miles an hour.
200. I talked over 200 miles an hour, and
But
he
that's 'cause
jumps
they're
right
falling.
in. Alan, you have good comedic instincts, just like future friend of the show, Nate Bargatze.
Is that because they're diving?
Because they're diving.
Yeah. So it's not even really a fair thing. It's like, I mean, a giraffe could go 200 miles an hour if you drop them out of a plane. What's the?
I don't know that.
What's the terminal velocity of a giraffe?
I don't know.
I mean, I think that's the same thing. What's the?
It's just not as aerodynamic as a falcon.
Right.
If I do a shark out of a
A shark could probably do it. Nice and sleek, you know, if you point him nose down first. Yeah.
air balloon, it's going to hit 200 miles an hour.
I think the fact that it could also stop and control itself is part of it.
If I'm in the animal kingdom and someone goes, they're the fastest, I would be, and you're like a cheetah, you're like, well,
just to be fair, peregrine falcons aren't bragging to people about it.
As far as you know.
Yeah, sounds like they are.
Fastest.
They might be.
Yeah.
Oh, how about that?
Can't prove it. Can't prove it.
You can't prove it.
Prove they're not. Yeah, my point stands. Here's some cool facts that I'm going to say Wei sent in. Yeah, did send this in. Did you know that I'm not racist because it's Asian facts, okay? Wei did send it in. I didn't just guess. Okay, I guessed Wei, and then I confirmed it, that it was Wei. I have a note there. See,
I see
right here.
it says Wei. Yeah,
It says Wei right there. H-U-Y. That's how you spell Wei. Okay, Wei sent this in. Did you know that egg fried rice saved China?
I did not.
Oh, I was never sharing while I showed that. You know what? Fuck it. Nobody cares. Here we go.
Like China was this close to becoming North Korea, and what stopped it is a plate of egg fried rice.
How so?
In the 50s, there's a Korean War. Chairman Mao.
Does that look like the guy from 120 Minutes? Remember that the guy on MTV, the metal show, the bald guy?
Oh, yeah.
It does kind of look like him.
Kind of looks
Anyways,
like
next time he's on the screen, I'll pause it. So Chairman Mao was the leader of China. You know, we're going back in time. Going back in time to when Chairman Mao was the leader of China.
At the time was the leader, and his plan is to plant his son as his
successor.
So, see, doesn't it look like the guy from 120 Minutes?
Definitely does.
It looks like him 30 years ago, though. This is so they almost became a dynastic monarchy.
Okay.
Successor, and the
Because
best
he wanted his son to. I keep interrupting. He wanted his son to inherit the throne.
way is to send his son to war, come back a war hero, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So he sent his son to North Korea to fight the South Koreans and the Americans. And
Right.
then one time there's an airstrike. So they're supposed to all hiding the bomb shelter. And they all did. But he's very hungry. So he got out of the bomb shelter and he's cooking himself a plate of egg fried rice. And the Americans drop a bomb.
Hell yeah, MacArthur.
So because he died, there's no successor after Chairman Mao. So we did not become North Korea because of that. Because other than that, it's going to follow the North Korea pattern from grandfather
Pan?
to father to son, controlling one family. Like China was.
How about that, Alan?
I was not aware. That is the thing.
I was not aware of that. I did not know that.
Did not know.
Did you watch any of the UAP hearings in Congress from last week? I saw a lot of videos. Did you watch any of them live? I know we have one of our most loyal listeners and greatest contributors to the group chat, Punk Rock Bob Foster. Give him a follow on Instagram. I'm assuming he wants people to give him a follow. He was updating a lot of the videos from the hearings. Did you watch any of it?
I didn't watch any of it live. I saw some clips. I was aware that it was happening, but I didn't.
I could not find a clip that was show worthy because every clip started with 2 minutes of Nancy Mace talking, and then going to the people she was talking to, and then being like, "Yes, yes." There's like 3 people. It's like, "Yes, yes." I don't know. Okay, all right. And then one person being like, "There were biologics," and then what's her name, Lauren Bobart's Beetlejuice enthusiast. Being like, what are there underwater aliens? They're like, I don't know why. That's a very specific question. I can't answer vague questions, let alone ones that specific. Like, yeah, it was really disappointing for me. Like, I was hoping for a lot more, and I'm left with the same thing. Like, I know I don't come across this way because I'm so dismissive every time they do these hearings. Most of that is because I don't trust our fucking government to be the people that gets to the bottom of this, even though they're the ones keeping these secrets. But I'm older. Like, I want to fucking believe. Hear me out. I want to believe. That said, all the evidence that we have is residual. All the evidence that we have that makes us still not... How do I say this? Okay. Statistically, there has to be something out there. There just has to. Okay, now have they been here and have these things that we've seen been evidence of it? Well, the evidence that we have, 99% of it can be explained by like artifacts in the film or other reasons. 99% of the videos you see can be explained by satellites, missile tests, literally air balloons, I know, right?
Or even just an
and
angle.
what we're left with is 1% that can't be explained because it's bad evidence. Like, it's like, this is not the visual evidence that you could use and say, I 100% believe this based off this evidence. So the 1% that can't get explained is treated as though it's proof, but it's just the 1% left over that can't be dismissed. And because it can't be dismissed, I'm interested, but it's not anything to make a case off of. Do you hear what I mean with that?
Yeah, there's... All right, so
like when you talk about it by itself, that's not the whole phenomenon. The whole phenomenon includes all the explainable stuff. Like that's called the God of the gaps fallacy, I believe. That's it's putting your belief in the fact that there's a place that you can't prove and you have something you want it to mean, therefore it means what you want it to mean. That's the God of the gaps fallacy.
Yeah, I mean, if there were actual proof, we would know about it. There's just no way we wouldn't.
I think we'd keep it secret because we're using that technology and we can't, let the Chinese know about it. And there's a international arms race over that.
Why would it matter? So that's also a good point. Is why would it matter where it occurs? Like it wouldn't. It would just happen, right? Like so it wouldn't be important that it was the Chinese that saw it or the
Well,
Koreans.
it all seems to happen around these nuclear test facilities.
Oh, weird.
Nuclear facilities, yeah.
That's weird. That's where it happens? Okay.
Yeah. So that either means they're observing that or it's our super advanced stuff that we've made that we don't want people to know about or use for. Yeah, I don't know.
Sometimes have you ever?
I don't know. It was disappointing.
Have you ever been like in hilly country, right? And you see something that looks weird.
Yeah. No, I've been out in Tullahoma and they had outside of Tullahoma. No, Columbia, Tennessee. And I saw what I thought was UFOs, and then I looked online and Starlink had just launched a satellite.
Or maybe like a car just driving with headlights that just because of the angle and where you're at, it looks odd.
That's true. Yeah.
That happens all the time.
And you can't see the fog that's in the air there. So like you can't tell that that's, yeah. No, I know that's the 99% I was talking about, but there is 1%. And the problem is that 1% isn't enough to be conclusive. And then people are resting a lot of their belief on that. And this is a weird analogy. No, that's not how I want to say it. It's just, this is such a extreme claim. It takes, I need to be convinced. I need to be convinced so much because I want to believe it. And I know that I fall for things that I want to believe. So therefore, I'm not going to be persuaded until you have better evidence in this. And there was nothing there. It was very disappointing hearings.
Nothing.
Isn't that something?
That's not about that. That's our next segment. We're getting into our Isn't That Something segment. We have an anniversary. I don't know if you know this, but today marked a very special day, Alan.
I didn't know. What day?
It's been 1,000 days since Russia did its 3-day operation in Ukraine.
Well, it's been 1,000 days since Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine. And I'm here at NATO headquarters in Belgium to kind of get to the bottom of why the U.S. needs to care about this. And here's what I've kind of figured out. Ukrainian security is European security, and European security is American security. As I'm talking, a dragon is rising in the east. China is taking a look at what we're doing in Ukraine, and they will decide their strategy in the Pacific based on that. A lot of you know I work for a conservative news agency, and I believe in America first. I believe that America will be the first to bomb you if you dare step out of line. America first does not mean America alone.
I sometimes don't understand satire until you tell me, and I can't figure out that clip to save my life. I really liked it, and I feel like I'm being manipulated. I feel like I'm being Toby Keith here. Does he work for a conservative news agency? That's the first I've heard of that. I thought he worked for a consulting firm.
Yeah. It is something. That is something.
1,000 days. So big news in the realm of Ukraine this week, Ukraine and Russia. There's another clip from, that's Ryan Macbeth, by the way. Here's another Ryan Macbeth clip. We'll talk about it more after the clip. We'll have things to say afterward. He talks about ATACMS being used in Russian territory, something that was previously off the menu.
Let's talk about NATO and attack.
Notice he's talking quietly because he doesn't want the whole airport to hear this. He has a different voice he uses when he's walking through an airport.
Yeah.
Let's talk about NATO and ATACMS.
ATACMS is a long-range ballistic missile that can be fired from the HIMARS system or the MLRS system. So for the longest time, Ukraine begged for this particular weapon system, and we finally gave it to them. We said, okay, you can use it, but you can't fire it at targets inside of Russia. And this is kind of the operational equivalent of firefighters showing up at your house and just getting the fire damp. And for the longest time, America's strategy with Ukraine has been, let's give them enough weapons to stay alive, but not so much that they actually win. And this is a really stupid strategy. Russia doesn't need an excuse to get mad.
That's my favorite quote of this clip, and it's lived with me since I saw this a couple days ago. Like, just Russia doesn't need an excuse to, he says, get mad. Russia doesn't need an excuse to escalate. Like, all these people are being fucking pussies about Putin saber rattling with his nukes that explode on the fucking platform. They don't need. Do you think they need to point to something that we've done to escalate? Especially when it's launching nukes, because the consequence to launching a nuke is retaliatory nukes, almost no matter what. So, like, you're going to be like, well, you know, it's really our fault. Are we going to talk about that 30 minutes from now when we're all dead? Like, and everybody that he knows that he's ever cared about and that they've ever cared about are all going to be fucking dead. And if he's lucky, it's only going to be the people in Moscow. But no, he's not. He's saber rattling. And going back to my initial point, I got all worked up from is Putin, Russia, does not need an excuse to escalate. They don't. So stop acting like, oh, we can't do this or we're going to give them an excuse. They don't need an excuse. This whole thing came from them having a bullshit excuse that they didn't need to start with anyways. That was their cover for massing up troops.
They do that naturally.
Yeah.
And I think the idea behind this strategy is that whenever a weapon is employed, parts survive after that weapon is detonated. And there's always a chip or a component or a valve that has Lockheed Martin stamped on it along with the serial number. And Russia parades that out and say, look what the Americans are doing to us. But I think kind of the brilliance of the Kursk incursion is that it showed Russia's pretty toothless. If Russia didn't do that much when their motherland was invaded by Ukraine, they're probably not going to do that much when they find a piece of debris with an American manufacturer's stamp on it. Now, as of right now, it's unclear as to whether ATACMS use is only allowed around the Kursk region or whether the leash has been taken off and Ukraine can use them anywhere inside Russia that they want to destroy logistics sites. Either way, this is a win for Ukraine. I just wish we had done it 2 years ago, but if I had some ham, I'd have some ham and eggs. If I had some eggs.
Isn't that something?
No, never heard that phrase before in my life, but that's a phrase now.
I had some ham and eggs. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That's what he said, Alan.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Moscow is within the range of ATACMS, especially if they're in Kursk with them. Speaking of punk rock Bob Foster, he showed some videos or screenshots of munitions depots getting hit. So maybe they've been being used already. And the sun didn't rise this evening, so I think we may have survived the first use of it.
Yeah, I think we're okay.
So this all goes back to Putin saying we've revised our nuclear doctrine. Well, so this is actually worth splitting a hair on. Putin said, I have ordered a revision to our nuclear doctrine to say that if a non-nuclear country uses weapons provided by a nuclear country, we will use that gives us an excuse to use
it on
our
the table. Yeah.
Puts our nukes on the table.
Right.
But it hasn't actually been revised. He's made an order to revise it. Not that matters, especially from my perspective. I think I don't fucking care. Like, he only responds to force, and he knows that his weapons blow up on their platforms. I don't think any of them fucking work. And if they do, I don't think he wants to take that chance. So, I mean, yeah, imagine if they fire 30 of them and half of them blow up on the platform. I mean, that would still suck for everybody that those other 15 go from, but you feel me?
Yeah, I feel you. Smoke them if you got them, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah. Ooh, get me tempted. Cigarettes so bad sometimes. It's been so long. I feel like there's more about that. Ukraine, nukes. I don't know. Fuck them. Fuck them. I definitely feel like if, I say everything I say with a lot of confidence and cockiness. And a lot of it comes from the fact that I am okay with Ukraine proving my point right or wrong.
Fuck them.
Like, it's just, let's find out. Can we move up from foreign stuff into domestic?
Let's do it.
Okay. I've got an update on election totals. So, if you recall, Donald Trump won the election. I don't know if you remember this.
I remember. Yeah.
Not the president yet, so maybe you didn't remember,
I remember. Yeah.
So the news that day and the following days was that it was a total landslide. He won, 300 and something electoral seats. And basically once the electoral college was decided, they called it. And we've talked about this on the show. Idiots go around being like, well, where were those 20 million votes? Well, they were in California and they hadn't counted them yet, dummy. Like, it's down to less than 10 million vote discrepancy. His popular vote, he won the popular vote. At one point, he won the popular vote with like 50% or more. And as they've counted all of the ballots that weren't going to affect it because he had won enough to win the electoral college,
yeah.
They've updated the popular vote total, and it is less than 50%. Well, wait, this is a 2-minute clip. I'll let him do. I bet he'll get to it. If he doesn't, I'll fill it in. I'll sprinkle it in. Why is it so quiet? Why is it so quiet?
I don't know. It's very quiet.
I'm going to turn that up. I'm going to turn this up. Okay.
Is now under 50% in the national popular vote, barely under 50%, but he is under 50%. And I want to take a look and compare his popular vote victory to those, historically speaking, over the last 200 years. His popular vote victory ranks 44th out of 51. That ain't exactly strong. Some might argue that is weak, 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 in the words of Tony Blair. In fact, his popular...
Tony Blair said weak 3 times in a row. Weak, 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 in the words of Tony Blair. You know, the famous time. 44th out of 51. So this whole clip is about it not being the landslide that it's been perceived to be. That won't change popular opinion, but interesting.
Vote win at this point is the weakest, going all the way back. You have to go all the way back to 2000 to find a weaker one, a smaller popular vote victory than Donald Trump currently has. So
this is a lot of coping, but it's still factual.
Yeah, Trump has won the popular vote, but it ain't all that, my dear friend John Berman.
You know, George W. Bush had a bigger popular vote
Yes.
in 2004, and if you're looking at a combination of popular vote and electoral college vote, look, Obama twice had bigger popular vote and electoral college vote victories.
And Joe Biden did as well.
Joe Biden's popular vote victory twice as
Yes.
big, electoral college victory a little smaller. Talk about coattails for Donald Trump.
Yeah, let's talk about coattails here. So,
Fuck
you
are
talk
coattails.
about the Senate,
Down
short
ballot?
coattails. States Trump won, but Democrats won or lead in the Senate race.
They got fucking slang for shit. How was I supposed to know what fucking coattails meant? Coattails means down ballot?
Yeah, I think so.
These fancy pants in their coattails.
Look at this. In 2016, it was 0. In 2020, it was 0. In 2024, look at this. 4 states where a Senate Democratic candidate won, even though Donald Trump won. We're talking about Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, I'm sorry, not Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
What does that mean?
That means that Trump won on the top of the ticket, but the senator for that state won the opposite.
Won.
So the Democrat,
A Democrat
yes,
senator. Okay.
yes, yeah.
So that means that voters,
It means voters
cult-wise, were down for him, but outside of him, they're. That gives me a lot of hope that a lot of this is just the cult of him, and nobody will ever be able to hold that.
Either they just went to the polls and just filled in the Trump bubble and walked away
And left.
Yeah, or they actually liked the Democratic offering better and still voted for him because they liked it. So those are the two options. Yeah.
That is 4 states, and Pennsylvania, we still haven't called yet. That could be 5 if Bob Casey is able to mount a comeback. But even if Casey loses and Dave McCormick wins, we're talking about 4 states. In fact, I went all the way back through the history books, and this is the most Senate races that the Prez Winners Party lost in states the president won since 2004. Again, you have to go all the way back since the early 2000s to find a historical.
I don't like them talking about that time period like it's a long time ago. Like that, I don't like any of that. Like,
yeah, but
all the way back to 2004. Like that's
All the
20
way
years
back.
ago. You
Yeah.
know? You go fuck yourselves. Yeah.
It almost never happens though. That's very rare. That
Right.
People,
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in this one, they say it's like a big number. It's 4, right? Like 4 is a huge number. Yeah.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I said it earlier. I mean, I think there's a little bit of coping in that clip. That said,
definitely
I
was.
wanted to share it on our show because, like, that's the dismissive things that people say, but it is a reality of this. It wasn't the landslide that it appeared to be the night of. It's still a mandate. They won all 3 chambers of branches. Both. It's not 3 branches of government. They won both
House,
branches
the
of
Senate, and the
Congress,
White
and they
House.
won the presidents. Yeah, presidents. I'm going to move on before I keep talking. This is a clip of so Bernie Sanders was on the Daily last week, and it was really good. Did you listen to this?
No, I didn't.
Oh, really? You know what? I'd recommend you and listeners for homework, go listen to the Daily interview with Bernie Sanders. It was really good.
It must have been like the
this was
weekend one or something, right?
No, it was the Friday episode last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really recommend it. Yeah. So, like I said, Bernie Sanders was America's last chance at a peaceful revolution. So this was a 6-minute clip. This was a 6-minute clip that, for your listening pleasure, I trimmed down to about 3 minutes. You're welcome.
Democratic Party that emerged since this election is that it is a party of elites captive to college-educated coastal America, and that it's not understanding and communicating this pain because it's not living that pain.
Well, that's only half of it. It is not beholden to college-educated people. That's the wrong word.
Okay.
It is beholden to the donors who put hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars into it, and to the bloody consultants out there who will end up this campaign making zillions of dollars doing.
Remember last week when Alan was like, the people that made the most money of this were the fucking lawyers.
Yes. 30-second TV ads, rather than figuring out how we talk reality to ordinary people and get them involved in the political process. And the Democratic Party deserves a lot of credit for fighting for civil rights, for fighting for gay rights, to fighting to end bigotry, all forms of bigotry in this country. Democrats were right on that struggle. But you can go forward in both directions. You can say, we are going to fight for a bigotry-free America. That's an ongoing struggle. We've made progress, got a long way to go. But at the same time, we can stand up for the working class of this country, which, by the way, happens to be significantly African-American and Latino and women, who are the bulk of the working class in this country. So it's not either or. It's going forward in both directions. That is a winner. Some of the Democrat pundits say, well, you know, the problem is all of these Trump people are racist and they're sexist and they're homophobes. Well, no doubt that some of them are. And that's true. Most of them are not. And I suspect many of them actually voted for the first black president in American history, Barack Obama. All right. But they are in large numbers working class people, and we've got to speak to them in an economic perspective that is clear and straightforward. You can say, look, isn't it great that we have, in fact, a very smart and effective black woman who's on the Supreme Court? Great. But you don't hang your hat on that and say, hey, well, what you also want to do is talk about the reality of what's going on in the African-American community all over this country.
So it's a matter of
fucking Michael Barbaro. I cut out so much Michael Barbaro. Any commentary on this before we got another minute about? This is what I was talking about last week, where like Democrats need to fucking look in the mirror before their next election, and they trot out their next, checks all the categories that they think wins elections, but consistently loses.
Yeah,
Into the microphone, Alan. Into the microphone, Alan.
Okay, all right. I think I still struggle a bit with like the whole so the Democrats lost the working class Americans of all stripes and colors, right? And how did that happen? Like Joe Rogan used to be a Democrat. Elon Musk used to be a Democrat.
Joe Rogan was never a Democrat. He
was Democratic. He was left leaning, right? Like at some point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but then they came for him. Like that. Honestly, what happened to Rogan was they tried to cancel him.
And
you survived getting canceled. You're gonna hate the people that did that to you, and it was the left.
And Elon didn't get invited to the fucking electric car
EVs summit. That's actually we haven't talked about that on the show. I think most of our listeners know that, but get more detailed into that. Talk about that. more.
So the Biden White House had a summit for EVs, and they invited all these automakers, Ford, Chevy, etc., and didn't invite Tesla or Elon Musk. And that kind of feels like that was the heel turn for Elon a little bit. I think maybe
that was the Barack Obama saying when he said to Trump, but you'll never be president.
At the
Correspondence Center.
Correspondence Center. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. So where did all those people go, and why are they no longer,
nothing that the Democrats were offering spoke directly to them.
Yeah.
It spoke to what he's saying, the donor class. Like, I've got something that's really important that we could say about this industry. Well, we can't say that because all the people that fund this campaign are insurance,
But how
medical.
is that any different? So we have now what? We have Bezos and fucking Musk. Like they're the people that are the zeitgeist that people want to support. I don't like that doesn't make any sense. Like why?
Wait, connect that dot better, because the lack of connection in that dot is the reason that doesn't make like.
So the Republicans won all three. You know, they won, as you said, the Senate, the House, the White House, all of it, right?
Yeah.
And they won that with who on their side? God damn it! I don't know how to say that differently.
They won with Elon and
Bezos, essentially. I mean,
Bezos hedged his bets.
That's the billionaire class, right? Like, so why is that the argument that wins the day? I don't understand.
I don't quite get you. Like, those two don't represent the billionaire class. Elon has a social media platform, communications platform. That he tweaked the algorithm because during the Super Bowl, Biden's tweet got more attention. Right. So he made sure that his tweet got amplified more going forward.
He had a whole meeting. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not the same thing as Bezos being careful that his space rocket program. By the way, do you think Kim Jong-un is upset that Trump got a new rocket man? He's hanging out with Elon Musk now. But like that's going back to Bezos. He has space kisses. Bezos space kisses. Mm-hmm. Bezos wants to make sure he has funding for Blue Origin, all the other things like that. That's why he hedges his bets, and he saw the same thing that I said when we were going into the election night. I was like, I think Trump's going to win it. This guy had more skin in the game than me as a podcaster. Like he was just being careful. He didn't do half of what Musk did. He just didn't post a fucking endorsement. That's not the same thing.
That's fair.
Really, you're just talking about Musk, and then so like the rest of, I mean, and then like, you know, you want to talk about like the broligarchs, right? Like Peter Thiel and all them. They wouldn't be on board if Donald Trump Jr. didn't convince Vance, if Donald Trump Jr. didn't convince Trump to put Vance on the ticket.
To nominate Vance as his VP.
Yeah. So like, I mean, there's your math, but like that's not the moneyed class. You know, the large entities largely backed the Democrats, and the Democrats couldn't actually say the things that spoke to middle class Americans because that didn't line up with their donors' interests. That's what Bernie's saying.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Well, look at that. For once, we debated. It's the internet's only debate for an event show.
So it's a matter of communicating that perhaps the Democratic core value.
By the way, guys, that's how you do it. Talk to your friends you disagree with. It's just like that. Jesus,
just like that.
It's not hard.
Are things like diversity, but not to the exclusion of these central questions of economics.
It's not either or, it is both. And you have to decide what is the vision of the Democratic Party? Who is the Democratic Party taking on? You tell me, Michael. In this campaign, Donald Trump was taking on, I mean, every day there was another enemy out there, but by and large, the basic problem was millions of illegal immigrants coming in who were eating our cats and dogs, and they were the enemy. You could solve that problem, everything would be great. Who was the Democratic Party taking on in the campaign?
I can answer that. Who are the Democrats taking on, Alan?
Trump.
I don't. Trump.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
So one side is, here's a problem I've identified, largely manufactured. Here's the problem I've identified. Here's our solution for it. And the other side saying, I'm going to stop that guy that's going to solve that problem that matters to you. How is that ever going to win?
It's not. It didn't.
I mean, what was their explanation? What were they going to do to address the fact that so many people in America are struggling? Did it have anything to do with the greed of corporate America? The fact that you have a billionaire class today that wants it all, they want to own the political system? Does anyone really talk about the degree to which the people on top own this country and want more and more and could give a damn about ordinary Americans? Now, that is what I believe. Unlike Trump, that's what I believe the cause of our problems are. I believe that we can create a nation in which all people have health care. All kids have good quality childcare. We have a strong public education system. I believe we can do that. But we're not going to do it unless we are able to take on the big money interests who want to use this economy to make themselves even richer than they are right now.
So, like I said, a little bit of homework. Recommend everybody listen to that full interview.
Yeah, I will definitely listen to
He
it.
got feisty with Barbaro, which made me like him even more because fuck Michael Barbaro. His ums. A little bit more domestic news. Let's. I'm gonna do on this first half. I want to talk about the department. We talked about this briefly on the headline show last week, and I think I surprised you saying that I'm a little bit in support of Musk's new position. That's not a cabinet position.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. So we'll talk about Department of Government Efficiency. I want to talk about the mass deportations. I want to talk about InfoWars before we go to half two. So let's go back to Department of Government Efficiency, which I knew the acronym was DOGE, and I forgot to react to it when you brought it up, and I've been kicking myself for a week. Also, I just want to get it out there because everybody else has said it, but maybe people haven't heard it, and they'll think I came up with it. Well, that's not how you get away with it. They hired 2 people to lead a government efficiency department while there's already a government efficiency department that's like, I forget the title of it, but yeah, so they made a redundant department and
GAO.
staffed it with 2 chairs.
Yeah, so Government Accountability Office is what
Yeah,
yeah.
GAO,
Yeah. So they put 2 people in charge of the thing that's supposed to be more efficient. So that's the thing.
So I have a headline for you, and go ahead and open this link. Do you still take the Post, Alan?
No, I don't.
Well, don't click on this until I finish reading this headline, okay? Because you will get to see this when you open it. I'm going to read a headline to you.
Okay.
Donald Trump plans to unveil a new White House office on Monday with sweeping authority to overhaul the federal bureaucracy and fulfill key campaign promises, such as reforming care for veterans and fighting the opioid addiction by harvesting ideas from the business world and potentially privatizing some government functions. Go ahead. When was that posted? Oh, that's right, 2017. And it was Jared Kushner. And here we are doing it again. This isn't even the first time that they've tried to do this. There was like a care agency or something like this has been tried before. This will be toothless. It will be. Look, I'm optimistic about it. Like I said on the Friday show last week, I actually do. There's a lot of the federal government I would like to see get abolished. Starting, I think it was a hidden track. Starting with Homeland Security. Like it's just like. It came up after 9/11. There's a lot of bullshit that happened that led to 9/11 happening and had to do with agencies not talking to each other. But creating a new federal bureaucracy doesn't seem to be the solution. Here we are 24 years later, and just DHS is getting staffed by a fucking dog killer. That's not coming up in our posts, but yeah, they put that dog killing lady from North Dakota in to cover DHS. You know,
and that
DHS,
also Tulsi Gabbard's
large. Well, we'll
DNI.
talk about that. We'll talk about that. We got the whole picks down in best of the Trump cult. But they put this dog killer from North Dakota basically in charge of the border.
South Dakota.
Okay. Basically in charge of the border, Alan.
Which is funny because she doesn't live, like, she's not from a border state.
There we go. That's it. Now we're on the same page. That's what I was saying 3 times. Yes. All right. So one thing that I think is notable about the idea of going through and trimming these supplemental, like the pork out of the government, right? Is that a lot of Congress puts a lot of people in Congress sign off on bills that create this government waste because it brings money into their districts, right?
Almost always, yes.
So like most of the reason that these dumb things exist is because it's like, okay, we'll get this big thing pushed through if we could put like $2 million here, there, and there to all like 300 different districts. And before you know it, that's $500 million or something, right? And and you do that once a year or several times a year, and that's how you get all this government bloat. So it is going to be hard to see. So there's consequences to these things, right? So if this does go through and they do trim this, there are a lot of people that might get primaried that constitute this movement. Do you see what I'm saying? The snake is starting to Ouroboros. I know that when we talked about this on Friday, I was a lot more Curious, Musk Curious, DOGE Curious. I was DOGE Curious. I was somewhat DOGE Curious, right?
Yeah.
Can I play a clip for you that might persuade you a little bit towards my DOGE Curiousness?
Yeah.
Okay, my DOGE Curiosity.
Get lucky. And one of the things that he does in his companies is that he finds ways to promote efficiency by just taking stuff out of the process, taking stuff out of the machine. This is sort of his theory of how to build something that works really well, is see if it works without it, and only if it really just like collapses without this thing, without this process, without this this part involved, well, then we'll put it back in. And if he can take that approach to government, then that is something that I would love to see. I think you have to be you can't think, well, this is definitely going to work. You can't go into this thinking this is for sure, just going to be the way that we cut a ton of money out of the federal budget. But you also have to start with and say, look, this is somebody who is trying, someone who is smart, someone who is an outsider, and who can come to this with fresh eyes in a way that a lot of people in Washington just are not capable of, because they've lived here for forever and they accept that government spending just goes up and up and up and up, and there's nothing you can or even should do about it.
Nothing?
Yeah.
Didn't get you?
So we're gonna put the guy, the richest man in the world, is going to be able to cut government agencies that regulate him or his businesses.
Well, I mean, so that's the huge conflict, right? Like that is the perfect response that I think is the appropriate response to that. Yes. There's a huge conflict of interest there, right? And, oh, look at these programs that help. What is it? Not BVD. Those are underwears. What's the other electric car from China?
Oh,
BYD? BYD? I think it's BYD. Yeah. Like, oh, these seem to help BYD. That's bloat. You should not do that. Yeah. And also, please continue to give me space. Space is hard, and it's a lot harder when you have to compete with space kisses over there. You got Bezos over there doing space also. It's a lot harder. One of my favorite things about what Musk has promised is that he's going to post something like a leaderboard on Twitter, X, that is going to be their most outrageous things they've found. Him and forget the guy's name. It
rhymes with cake.
Rhymes with cake. Alan, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to find the clip. I don't have it anymore. I don't know where it is. Rhymes with cake.
The R word.
That's not the right clip. Oh well.
Kiss each other. Kiss.
That's not it. Where's my rhymes with cake one though? I made it brown so I wouldn't forget it because because
makes sense.
Because
bloody fuck you, bloody.
All right, I think we're good. I might have got rid of it. You know what? I thought Vivek fell off the radar long enough that we wouldn't have to talk to him about him anymore, so I got it off the soundboard.
And now
it's valuable real estate. We got things like. There was no room for rhymes with cake when you've got the Rasputin from Boney M on the soundboard. Where was I? What was I talking about? So he was saying that him and Vivek were looking at this. They're going to they're going to go through all this like questionable funding. And they're going to make a leaderboard and they're going to post it on Twitter saying that these are the most outrageous ones. And then as they cut things or as things get cut, they're going to have they're going to post their best budget cuts. And this is, like a bragging leaderboard, which I think is a great idea, especially when the next catastrophe happens and there's some very specific field that got decimated by a non-expert masquerading as a fucking bean counter going up here and bragging about it on the internet for all time. Somehow I feel like he's going to delete these tweets when that happens, but the internet remembers. The internet remembers. I just can't wait for the next pandemic or something like that.
When we have the boll weevil catastrophe of the Midwest, that's gonna because somebody put out an
put that on the. Man, they don't need boll weevil. Boll weevil's the restaurant. Remember that restaurant, Boll Weevil? Do you have those where you lived? Did you have those?
No.
It was like a burger place. It was pretty good. Might have been Southern California. Boll Weevils was good. I just realized it's not a national chain. We should move on. You know what occurred to me this week?
What's that?
Depending on how left-leaning you are, Trump owes sometimes I see the word in my head, and it's O-W, not N-O's, O-W-E-S. Trump owes his last 2 elections to the richest man in the world. So, like, look, the richest man in the world is Putin, but we can't say that, right? We have to say it's Elon Musk. Because it's like, I don't know why he has all this money. I don't know. But like, yeah, the richest man in the world is Putin.
It's Putin.
And, you know, I'm sure he didn't have anything to do with 2016. I get it. Look, I'm not saying Russiagate shit. I'm just saying. And this time he definitely won this election because of many of the things that Musk was doing. I mean, dude, we don't talk about it enough, even though we broke that fucking story. Like, that shit that he was doing in swing states, sending out that misleading text stuff was so, like, I can't believe nobody's talked about it. Like, here we are, just a little old podcast in Nashville, breaking news that nobody gives a fuck about. But, oh, I'm just a rural country podcaster. What do I know about your election interference? But sure seems like that to me.
That shit was wild.
Yeah. So it is kind of weird, though, that he, the richest man. So here he is masquerading as, I am Mr. Trump and Mr. Billionaire. He's like, but please, actual rich people, can you help me? Please. You know, like the weak little dog and the big Chad dog memes. Last week, I think I said something along the lines of like, either I said this on the podcast or I've said this in person to people. Cause like I hang out with a lot of lefties and they were, you know, got their heads down, you know, and I'm just trying to not let people be morose fucks. You know, it's like this guy really did a number on us in his first term. And I just refuse to let that happen to me. Like I'm not in the mood to go through that again for 4 years. So, and I'm not going to do it in the same way I did it the last time. And it doesn't mean I'm going to put my head in the sand. We've talked about this, but I think one of the things that I said either on the podcast or in person with other people was that don't worry. These people are snakes and backstabbers, and it is just a matter of time. So it does appear that the honeymoon is already almost over for him and Elon Musk. I'm going to play a clip from Bob Cesca. Buzz Burbank retired for the second time, and he is no longer a part of Bob Cesca's Tuesday show, but they have a new guy on, Cliff Schechter. Very entertaining, a great, he's good for podcasts. He goes on good rants. So him and Bob were talking about an incident that took place recently that might show that is it the thorn is off the rose? That can't be it. The
bud? No,
should I just play the clip? I'm going to play the clip.
Yeah.
Okay. Something's wrong with the rose. Rosebud. Spoiler alert. Rosebud. Citizen Kane.
And the first person to step into Donald Trump's propeller is, of course, Elon Musk. According to the New Republic here, the reporting is that, quote, he's behaving as if he's co-president and making sure everyone knows it, a transition source told
Is there ever
NBC.
any question, huh?
Yeah, and he's sure taking a lot of credit for the president's victory, bragging about America PAC and X to anyone who will listen. He's trying to make Donald Trump feel indebted to him, and the president is indebted to no one, the source added. Second person said Musk had been overstepping his bounds and that Musk has a, quote, opinion on about everything. He wants to be seen as having to say in everything, even if he doesn't, the source told NBC. Second person suggested that Musk was...
I hate these sightings. First person, second person, go fuck yourself. I mean, I hate to go back to something like this, but the first time this was ever brought to my attention was when I read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I think it was Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I think in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, he had a side note about, or maybe it was Hell's Angels. He was he had a whole thing about journalism, saying like, you know, people will often say things like a source says. If they don't name their source, you can't trust it unless they say.
I think it was Hell's Angels.
It was Hell's Angels.
I think so. Yeah.
Like, and it wasn't just as blanket as that. It was like if they don't cite this source with another thing that can corroborate it. If they just say first source, second source, like. But anyways, this makes entertaining podcasting.
The source told NBC. Second person suggested that Musk was hurting his chances of sticking around by not keeping a low profile, as the former president hates sharing the spotlight. We all know this, I guess, except Elon Musk, who doesn't remember his previous 4 years in office. Earlier this week, Trump cracked a joke at Musk's expense during a meeting with Republican lawmakers, a reminder to everyone that Musk serves at his leisure and not the other way around. And I bet one of those sources, Cliff, is probably Boris Epstein.
I don't know what they're getting into with Boris Epstein, but something happened there. So
I mean, you put two narcissists in a room, like it's not gonna end well, obviously. like one, if both of them crave the spotlight and want all the attention, like that's not gonna end well.
Can I put that? You usually do this for me. Can I say what you said a different way?
Yeah.
They both have main character syndrome.
Yes.
And they're two cats in a room. They can't be doing that,
You can't have.
Not to mention, like, a lot of people have been saying, "Oh my God, Trump has put so many phrases into the environment." Many people are saying that Twitter is going to be like the government, like the RT for the United States, right? Twitter will be
state
some,
media,
like, state media, right? As if truth.
Thank you.
Nope.
I did such a good
Nope, there.
truth central.
Doesn't exist, right? Like,
Right. It's already
as
there.
if Truth Central doesn't. So, like, first of all, Trump made a media platform. Like, you might call it silly, but like, at some point, is there going to be a Truth versus Twitter thing? Is there going to be a Truth Twitter merger?
God.
There's got to be a Truth Twitter merger.
There's got to be.
Definitely.
There's got to be. Yeah.
But before that, I think there's going to be leaking stories
Oh.
to the press from each one of these people, like Trump leaking stories about Elon leaking stories about Trump. Like, there's just no way these two cats actually get along, right?
No chance. None.
Which of them should be afraid, though?
Oh.
If you were, like, which one of them would you rather be right now? Given the future we're predicting.
Musk,
right?
There's no way Musk loses. Like, I mean,
You'd rather be Musk. He has enough money to
course.
insulate himself, and
Yeah.
he's not in a position of power to be attacked. And any way you could attack him, he just, like, he's, as long as he doesn't do anything actually illegal, like,
Yeah,
he's
there's
good.
it's gonna roll off.
You can be mad at him, yeah. And Musk is more careful than Trump. He's more outraged, or he's as outrageous, but he's more careful.
That's a weird
You don't
thing
have to
say,
like
but
him
I
to agree with
understand
that.
what you're saying.
Yeah. You know what? Trump's careful in different ways. Like, he writes things out instead of sending emails. and stuff
Yeah, he
like
doesn't do
that.
text messages. Yeah. Fuck.
But, like, well, I mean, on that note, right? Like, so he's more careful and he's boring. Well, as an individual, like, he does outrageous things, but he's boring. Like, he's a charisma event horizon. Like just, you see him jump up on the stage and doing stupid things like that. When Tom Cruise jumps on a couch, it brings attention to him. When Elon Musk does that, it makes everyone around him look more charismatic. Like, it makes JD Vance look like he can order donuts, right? Like, he's a charisma event horizon.
Right. I mean, he's also like a top 20 player in what the fuck is that game called? He's top 20 ranked in the world for something. It's version 4. I can't remember. A video game.
Apex Legends.
No, it's not Apex. It's something like that. But Elon is, to be the top 20 player of a video game, you have to spend so much time and effort to do that, and he's done that. It's fucking crazy.
Something tells me he's cheating. I don't know.
Maybe.
I actually noticed a few similarities between. It is funny that they're besties right now. Have you ever noticed the similarities between Trump and Musk?
No.
So they both got their start from their parents' money. It's not that. That's not it. It goes deeper than that.
Check one.
It gets their start from their parents' money, who have largely racist ties, right? Like Trump's dad and Trump not renting to black people.
Yeah.
And apartheid, emeralds,
South
or
African.
whatever.
Yeah.
South
Emerald
African.
Line.
Yeah. And not to mention the ways that, like, both Musk and Trump assume the branding of successful existing IP.
Yes.
And like I said, they both have main character syndrome. Like, it's like those similarities are pretty fucking wild to me. But
so when it goes wrong, it's going to go really wrong.
yes. That's the thing that it's like, look, I don't know. I refuse to be in despair. There was a time to be upset about the election, but then there was also a time to realize that you aren't going to be happy with Kamala Harris being the president. Like there's layers to this shit. And, you know, I will choose to, where I would have been critical of our institutions staffed by a bunch of neocons that call themselves Democrats. Now I will be supporting the institutions that are resisting things like mass deportations and what's some of the other stuff I'm mad about, Alan? I forget. Oh, that's right. Firing all the federal workers and replacing them with sycophants, installing, you know, just sycophants, right? People, yes men, right? There's nobody around him that's going to say no. I saw Paul in the group chat was like, is Trump really going to be able to do this? And I was like, who's going to stop him? Like, you tell me who's going to stop him. Like, nobody. Like, yeah, I hope all your camel toe memes were worth it. Like, I know they were funny to you. I saw them in the group chat. Like, I ignored them. Nobody ever liked them. But like, you know, what is he going to get away with? I don't know. He got elected, and that was my whole point. Did you listen to the show, Paul? That was what I was saying, was that I don't like Kamala Harris. There will be people around that will tell her no. Nobody is going to do that for Donald Trump. Nobody will.
No, we're going to have Matt Gaetz as the attorney general, for fuck's sake.
Not there yet. That's the second half, Alan. That's the second half. We got a lot to say about that. Do not tempt me. I'm going to get started on it.
Okay. All right.
But first, because we're podcasters, can we talk about InfoWars? The future press secretary of the United States, Alex Jones, had his website stolen from him, Alan. They stole it. They're here. They're in the building. They're taking away our computers and our documents. I got all the documentation here.
Yeah.
Right here. They're shutting down InfoWars. The Onion bought it. Mr. Onion. Mr. Onion. You got to listen to the hidden track. He called him Mr. Onion. I don't think so, Mr. Onion. So I have some questions.
Mr.
The people. Mr. Onion belongs to the people. No, InfoWars belongs to the people, Mr. Onion. Yeah. That joke makes sense if you listened to us an hour and a half ago. Highest bid. That's my question. I put that into a question mark in a note. Can you talk about the whole... I know you have paid attention to this as much, maybe even more than I have. There's been some controversy. I spend more time in the circles of people that are pro Alex Jones, trying to gently nudge, and it never works, and it's fine. All they keep saying is the highest bidder didn't win. There was only 2 people in the auction. They changed the terms of the auction at the last minute. Can you talk about any of that? Oh, also, Can you talk about... We'll follow that up with, did a judge block it, or include that in your question. If not, I'll ask that in a second.
Well, all right. So as far as the highest bid winning or not, the auction, the rules for the auction were set so that it didn't matter. Do
you want me to? I do have a clip of the terms of the auction.
Okay, do that. Yeah.
Let's play that, because I know I set you up with a question that I had a clip about, and that's not very fair. So let me play that, and then you can talk about what you know.
Okay.
He says the terms of the auction clearly say that, quote, 360 and the Chapter 7 trustee reserve all rights to modify timing and sale process as necessary and at their sole discretion in conformity with the court order. Anyone who's going to participate in this auction agreed to the terms. The legal document filed on September 27th announcing Alex's auction says, quote, please take further notice that the trustee intends to conduct the IP assets auction, at which time he will consider qualifying bids submitted to the trustee and his professionals by and pursuant to the order beginning on November 13th, 2024 at 10:30 a.m. through Transon 360's selected online auction platform. The trustee would consider bids starting at 10:30.
This is the part that's important, right? I feel like that's a little gobbledygook before that. Okay.
Consider bids starting at 10:30. That doesn't say that there would be a back and forth bidding session that would start then and go till 5 or whatever Alex imagines. The deadline to get qualified.
Because that's the problem, is a lot of the people that argue against me on the internet, and I'm now explaining that to people that haven't been in those conversations, but largely the people that argue about this are arguing based off what they've heard Alex saying, right?
Right.
Which, documented liar, blah, blah, blah.
The deadline to get qualified was November 8th. Then if you were accepted, you could enter bids. The posting about this auction literally says, quote, bidders submitting bids deemed competitive by the bankruptcy trustee and auctioneer may be invited to participate in a round of live overbidding. They may, but it doesn't say that they will. That same notice from September 27th also says, quote, please take further notice that the trustee reserves the right to modify the procedures for bidding and auctions and or to terminate discussions with any potential bidder at any time.
So Alex's argument...
I didn't do this on purpose. Sorry. Go ahead.
Alex's argument essentially is that he had people that were going to try and bid on this auction for InfoWars, and that they may have had the higher bid, but that the way that the system worked was that they didn't win the auction, right? So his idea is that it was stolen from him in that, yeah, I had guys that were willing to put down their money and bid for my InfoWars site, and they didn't win because the Democrats, whatever he would say, the globalists.
He kept saying the Democrat. No, because we listened to the same recap of this.
Yeah,
like Alex kept saying the Democrats and their bidders that are and he kept just saying they were the Democrats, and they were not Democrats. There was the trustee is one party. There were the Onion turns out is the other bidder. And then there's the family of the victims. Go on, because I'm sure you're going to talk about the family of the victims and how they were involved.
Yeah, so the family of the victims basically wanted InfoWars to be shut down, and he keeps saying that. He's like, well, they just want, they don't want money. They just want money.
They want to silence me.
Yeah, they just want to silence.
Which just like, let's just be real here, is a stupid objective, because he can always go to another place and talk. You're not going to stop.
And that's what he's doing.
I know.
By the way,
I know.
And he's been advertising it for weeks and weeks and months that he's selling his supplements on a different website. He's Dr.
But it's not an entity that I own.
Right. It's not me.
Yeah. But you were talking about the families of victims. That's an important layer to this onion.
So the families of
the onion.
That's interesting. So this all goes back to Sandy Hook, right? So the whole Sandy Hook shootings happened.
You mean?
Isn't that?
Damn it!
Atlanta didn't never burn. Atlanta was a false flag operation.
All right.
And so his claim was that they were all crisis actors. This didn't really happen. Nobody actually got shot. All of those things, right? And he said it over and over and over again to the point where Sandy Hook family's victims were harassed by Alex Jones listeners because
not just the family's victims. Bob Seska talked about it on his show.
Yes.
And somebody found Bob Seska's dad's address thinking it was him and harassed his dad. Yeah. Now, that's not to say, like, I've said that to people before and they're like, well, so it's a crazy person. It's like, no, you're not understanding what I'm saying. He instigated. So imagine if that person's getting harassed, how bad it is as a family member of the victims. Like,
dude. There were people who, there was one guy who had to move homes like 3 times just trying to escape this shit.
After your kid dies in like the worst way.
After your kid gets shot in the worst fucking way that could possibly happen.
And need I remind you that I am not the type of person that wants to complain about all of this type of shit. Like I'm on the side of the people that are like, oh, they're coming for our guns. It's a false flag. Like, no. Children died because a crazy person did a horrible thing. Table the conversation about gun control and just recognize that this man spread lies that affected people's lives. And this is the consequence of that. You might like his broadcast. My favorite radio show had its last airing and it hurt. And I cried. Like, I know how it feels to have a thing you like taken from you due to something outside of your control. Don't make up shit to justify why it's not their fault that it happened. Chad Duke said something wrong and he lost his job.
That's true. Yeah, so I mean the whole thing is really gross, but essentially this is karma, right? This is the shit cut up to him, and he had to deal with it. And so there was a lawsuit which he lost, and there was a lot of damages that were claimed, and nobody really expected to claim like these millions of dollars. They just, that was, it was sort of in the ether. Didn't think it was going to really happen.
There's a big number that's unreasonable, right? And that's what you're going to talk about, right? In context of the victims and the bidding.
Well, so you're talking about how they
Yeah. So there's this big number that nobody ever expected to actually collect.
Right. And then they use some of that money to bid on the
some of the fake money, some of the money that has not actually been like the victims don't have the money, but it's owed to them. So
it's
some
on paper there. And so they use that.
Buddy.
So they use that to bid on this on this auction.
And now if you listen to Alex Jones and you believe everything he says, they used fake money that wasn't theirs. It was like, no, it was money that you would have had to give to them that they said we'll contribute our money towards the Onion's bid. And so a judge that would oversee this auction would say, you know what? They're never going to see that money. There is another bidder, but this satisfies them getting their money and us closing off this sale. It's a more equitable resolution to have them see this person win the auction than somebody else win it, especially when you factor when you factor in the fact that the other bidder was Alex Jones. It was Alex Jones's affiliates. It was people on the so in the middle of Alex's show, the day that it was happening, he had Steve Bannon on, but he didn't tell Steve Bannon first that he was on the air. So when Steve Bannon picks up the phone, he goes,
he's like, "What the
Alex,
fuck?
What the fuck is all this shit?" I thought, and if you listen to it enough, he says something along the lines of Roger.
What the fuck is this story? Roger.
I thought Roger. You can hear that if you really analyze it. So Roger Stone was running the secondary bid that did outbid, but when you factor in the family of the victims contributing their owed money towards it, and them having it in the settlement agreement, in the terms of the auction, that they don't have to go with the highest bidder, they can go with the one that makes the most sense to settling this, which. Yeah. You know, you can go back to court and try to get them their rest of their money, or they can be a part of the winning auction, right?
Yes.
The victims' families. That's a winning auction. Now, a few hours after the auction gets settled, a judge says, I'm going to have to go review this. And Alex Jones amplifies that as the judge said it was a fake auction. It had fake money. None of it was real. And the Democrats are doing it. And it's like, no, this was something that someone like you is going to manipulate the reality of. So we need to go get everything, all our lines crossed and I's dotted, that's the phrase, before we settle this, which I appreciate that, because if they don't do that, he'll spend the rest of his fucking life lying about it, which he'll do anyways. But
yeah, I mean, the fun part was him wanting the whole, like, the guys with the jackboots showing up and kicking him out of his studio and turning off the
like getting dragged out.
Yeah. Like, you know, I'm gonna fucking die in this chair in this studio.
Which is his thing. He needs to put his tri-corner hat on, hold his AK, and be like, or no, AR, get a nice American guy, right?
And that was never going to happen. It was just a story that he wanted to sell.
Right.
And even when he's talking to Bannon and he's like, well, I don't know, what should I do? And Bannon's like, no, you get carried out of that fucking studio. Like, don't fucking
shoot him on the way in. Yeah. You know, Bannon's like, because Bannon comes from movies and television, right?
He understands, like, tell a story. This is your
Be
hero
cinematic
story.
with this. Yeah.
And that, of course, wasn't going to happen. So he just kind of goes out with a whimper, where he's just like, okay, I'm just going to go over to this other place.
And then the next day, he's like, well, the judge halted this, so I'm back in the studio. Here I am. It's like, yeah.
They're in the building. They're out there.
In the building.
They're going to cut off
That was really
power.
fun. There's going to be more to that, but as it is right now, I think it's going to settle the way it's been settled. He's going to be on another platform, which good, fine. I think you're ill-sighted to think you're going to actually silence a human being. I think that would be wrong.
He can just have Elon Musk tweet out whatever his new website is, and it's going to be fine.
Dude, he's going to be the new press secretary. There is a really high likelihood he'll be the new press secretary. Like,
this is like the Onion being like reality at this point. This is
not the Onion. It's Idiocracy, and there's a term for it. It's called kakistocracy. Whoa, kakistocracy. Government by the least suitable or competent citizens. Kakistocracy. Kakistocracy. You can see why I can't pronounce it. Kakistocracy. Yeah, that's
fun.
Yeah.
Here
Or
we
you
are.
could say Idiocracy. It's more fun that way, I suppose.
Yeah.
Remember that scene in Idiocracy where he's like, Department of Agriculture, I'm Secretary of State, you know? I get paid every time I plug Carl's Jr. It's happening. Like, it's fucking happening. Ron Ball meme. All right.
The plants crave it, though. The plants crave
They
it.
do. Yeah. And you know what? Like water? Like out water? Like out the toilet? All right. I do have this clip in here that it probably does fit going into the second half, but I don't want to move things around. We'll play one more clip.
Half yet. Okay, let's go.
We're about to go to half. Settle down. Jesus Christ. When you say that, I imagine that the listeners don't like that. Look, we're making a great fucking show. When you
This
say
is good
things like
times.
that, it's in my head, though.
Okay, I understand.
I have enough self-doubt, Alan. I don't need it coming from you. Okay?
Got it.
Listeners, Alan hurt my feelings. Can you please text me words of praise? I appreciate it. Thank you. DMs are open. When we left you last week, we were talking about how the leader of the Senate, I think I said Speaker of the Senate 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
The leader of the Senate was going to be replaced for the first time in 17 years. And there was some tension between it being the highest ranked next person behind Mitch McConnell, who is Thune, Senator Thune, Thune. Still can't remember his first name. All I can think of is the comedian Nick Thune. I know it's not Nick Thune. John Thune. We'll go with John Thune.
Yeah.
So John Thune is sort of like a junior to Mitch McConnell. You can think of him as very much
sort
like
of his second for a while.
Yeah. So some continuation of that. Interesting to think, though, there has not been a new leader of the Senate in 17 years.
It's pretty wild.
So there was tension between Thune and the MAGA candidate, which was Rick Scott. Rick Scott lost that battle. The reason why was because they didn't have to vote on it in public where everybody would know who you voted for.
It was a closed ballot, secret ballot.
And I think that tells us a lot about what goes on in the hearts of these people when they aren't worried about MAGA having retribution on them. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, which will be interesting to see with
third candidate was
confirmations.
Rick Scott,
Which will be in the open, yeah.
Republican senator from Florida. He's in his first term, the least experienced of the lot. And he really styled himself in this race as the Trump candidate. Elon Musk came out very supportive of him, said he was the person to vote for if you were for Trump. There was a big grassroots effort on the hard right to try to get Republican senators to drop their commitments to Thune and Cornyn and to go with Scott instead because he was the MAGA guy. Scott ended up with 13 votes, and it was not a lot. But the really important thing to keep in mind about this election is that it was by secret ballot. So if we think that this is
people were allowed to oppose the MAGA candidate
because it was a closed-door meeting in the old Senate chamber by secret ballot, the old-fashioned way, you could go up against the MAGA candidate and vote against him without repercussion.
Do you say MAGA or MAGA?
The third candidate was
sorry,
MAGA.
MAGA. I say MAGA too. I think initially I said MAGA, and I think I still say MAGA a lot. But if I think about it, it's MAGA because it's America, not America.
Yeah, MAGA sounds better.
Again, well, it's the sound of the A in the words that it's representing.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have something to say about that?
Well, just that he 13 votes. Just keep in mind that's out of 52. So there's a lot of votes that didn't vote.
No. 100.
No, but
two senators each state.
Yeah, but 48 are
Republicans.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Good point.
Yeah. So that's actually really that's an indictment. That's
no bueno. Yeah.
No bueno.
Well, nobody likes Rick Scott.
Why would
nobody
you?
does?
I mean, honestly, yeah.
Looks like a penis. It does. So think about it this way too. A lot of these people have 6-year terms, right? And
Senators
a lot of these
have
people
6-year terms. All of them do. Yes.
Okay, sorry. All of these people have 6 years terms. What I meant to say is some of these people just won the beginning of 6 years, which means they can outlive a 4-year presidential term should Trump follow the rules. And they might be willing to risk that at the confirmation hearings too. That, you know what, I might be unpopular, but I won't get primaried until we get through 2 years of the next administration.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go out of here with a question. We'll go to lunch. Let me get the lunchtime music set up. I recently learned something. You know how much I like etymology and history of words and names and stuff like that. Do you know what Coke means, COCH, like the last name Koch. Do you know what that means?
No.
I believe it's in German. It means a cook, as in like an occupation.
Okay.
Do you know what Charles means?
Dick. No, I don't.
No. So Charles Koch does not mean Dick Cook. No. It does mean man, though. So Charles Koch of Koch Industries, the surviving Koch brother, who is, as a single person, can be held largely responsible for most of the climate change that we're experiencing industry-wise.
Yeah.
Name literally translates to man cooker. Isn't that appropriate?
It seems appropriate, yeah.
This is the B-side of our platter, sports fans. And I'm singing just for you, covered in sequins.
In the canyons of your mind, I will wander through your brain to the ventricles of your heart, my dear. I'm in love with you again. Cross the mountains of your chest, I will stick a Union Jack to the forest of your cheek, through the holes in your string bag.
Having a little snacky?
A little bit, yeah.
Same. Natasha, it smelled like she was making chili. I was like, it smells like chili. And she's like, it's fajita soup. I'm like, that's just chicken. That's just chicken chili. That's just.
Sounds
Alan, you
delicious,
want to tell
though.
the listeners what you call fajitas? It's stuck with me for the rest of my life. You said this like 20 years ago.
The little burritos you make yourself.
That's it. Yep. Nailed it. Yep. You sound quieter.
Do I? God damn it.
Yeah.
I am talking.
Get that microphone right on your lips, man.
It
right
is,
up on the lip.
I'm light.
All right,
I'm right
all right.
here.
That's good.
Is that good? Okay.
That's great. Yeah.
Sweet.
Do that. All right.
I'll just
Sorry.
do that.
Yeah. Sorry. There's back of house stuff there. Sorry,
Yeah,
listeners.
By the way, on CNN right now, the nation debates modern manhood and its attraction to MAGA. So
Oh, CNN's going to get to the bottom of that. I mean, wow.
I'm sure.
Can't wait to see what they resolve that. Did you listen to that? I sent you a podcast about this, about how Trump's not going to resolve the masculinity crisis. Did you listen to that?
I did, yeah.
Wasn't that good?
It was very good.
Like it's Hannah Cox. I know that she can be hit or miss because she's cringy isn't the right word with her. God, I hope she doesn't listen to this next time I ask her to come on. Like, she has a lane, and she's really good in the lane she's in. It's not really my lane, but I like to keep her on my radar because occasionally it is, and I like that's how I'm as diverse of opinion as I am. And listeners, you don't have to, so you don't have to none take it. Okay?
No, I thought sometimes
microphone, Alan.
Sometimes she can be a little bit annoying, but that was a good episode.
But it works. It works for that lane, right? It
does work for that lane.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
And we see through that shit. We see through that shit. Doesn't work on me. Can I ask you the question I intended to rejoin with before I had delicious chicken chili? No, fajita soup.
Yeah.
Fajita soup. That's how it's spelled. Louisiana, the state. Louisiana has a. So I don't know if all states have one of these. Louisiana has a state surgeon general.
Oh.
So it tells them, keep smoking and, drink while you're pregnant.
Right.
It's Louisiana, right? Like, yeah.
Have some po' boys and
Yeah. Up until the third trimester, be reasonable.
Right.
So it is Louisiana, so you might be surprised to find that he is in fact actually a doctor. So
that is surprising.
That's
actually
good news. I want you to guess his medical specialty.
Gynecology.
Take one more guess. You're close, Alan. You're close with gynecology.
Anesthesiologist. No, that
closer with gynecology. With gynecology, think pussy.
I'm always thinking pussy.
Okay. Think pussy cat.
Oh, what could be closer to pussy?
That doesn't take you to veterinarian. I don't know what will. The state surgeon general of Louisiana is in fact a veterinarian. Yes, because humans are animals.
That's hilarious. I love that. I love that fact. I love that.
I did not know that. How about that? Damn it, I always hit the wrong button with that. I know which button to press depending on what phase of the show it is. I don't know what button to press when I just randomly touch it later. All right, well, let's get into
touch it later. That's somebody.
Yeah, as long as it's not too sensitive. Let's get into some of the Trump cult. I think we'll skip this first one. This is Klepper harassing Matt Gaetz. I feel like we've got a lot to play. You know what? What's the show going to be? 2 minutes too long? So this is Klepper of Daily Show fame harassing Matt Gaetz a couple years ago, a year ago. Seasonally, it does not match what we're seeing because there's snow on the ground in this video. So remember, Matt Gaetz, our potential next attorney general, if he gets confirmed by the Senate. I think people know about the underage girls, right? They know about that, right?
We've talked about it on the show. Yeah.
Okay, just checking because it's going to come up in the clip here.
Hey, Matt Gaetz, if you're going to reenact the events of January 6th, who is going to take a shit in the rotunda? And also, who's going to make the gallows? Isn't this a little bit childish, Matt, or is that what attracts you to this?
Oh! To his face. You got to give him some credit for that, man. To his fucking face.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Hey, remember when, for months we were like, look, I know that all the annoying people on the left are telling you that Project 2025 is how Donald Trump is going to staff and run his government. And it's really easy to be like, these are all hysterical people, and I don't take people on the left that seriously. And these are the people that said Russiagate and blah, 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 right?
Right.
And we were here saying, well, I remember Project for a New American Century being written by John Bolton and then us invading the Middle East and spending 20 years trying to win those wars. So I don't know. I kind of think Project 2025 might be worth treating seriously, just given being old enough to remember that kind of shit. And then they were like, you're being hysterical. That's not how they're going to govern. He's his own man. Here's Steve Bannon after the election.
Now that the election is over, I think we can finally say that, yeah, actually Project 2025 is the agenda.
Right.
Did you really need to hear him say it? I don't know.
Nobody's going to come around and pat us on the back and saying that we were right. I feel
thing.
like,
Yeah.
all right. All right. This
When Alex Jones calls me, I'm going to be like, what the fuck, bro? Like,
fuck, yeah. Can we just, for a second, like, do you understand how fucking frustrating that is? Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't like parroting things that the most annoying people in politics are saying. But if I think it's right, I'm going to say it. And then they go like, okay, well, now that we won, it was like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, that wasn't Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon was reading something Matt Walsh said. So,
Oh, okay. That makes
totally not the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. This will get us into the cabinet picks. We're going to talk about some of Trump's cabinet picks as they've shooked out. Yep, over the last week. We're going to start with this Pearl Mania 500 account. We like this guy. He's intense.
Listen, if every evil person in the world gets to get whatever they want, why can't this girl have a job? Okay?
Who's that?
Put her in charge of the Department of the Interior. Tell her.
Who's that again?
I
forget his name.
That's the guy from...
No, not Menendez. Not Bob Menendez. It's the other one. The guy from
New York.
Long Island.
Long Island.
Staten Island? The guy that had the OnlyFans account and said his mom died in 9/11 and he's from Brazil and a drag queen.
Right, that guy.
It's decorating. Who gives a shit? She gonna do what she gonna do. And while we're at it, pardon Hunter Biden. I've been saying this the whole time, Joe. But I think, honestly, maybe Donald Trump will pardon him. He'll probably pardon him, make him like the ambassador to Ukraine or something. I've been looking at these pics. Like, I'm convinced that you had to have, like, tortured an animal, and they just let you in. They're like, you did what?
Nancy Mace.
You're in charge of the border. Like, remember during the debates when he was like, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Well, what? What are we...
RFK.
This is the man that's going to be in charge of our hospitals. You know how crazy it is? This guy's wife, Vince McMahon, she's going to be the Secretary of Commerce.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The CFO of the WWE is going to run our entire economy. And we don't... That wasn't even on the list of crazy. Listen, if every evil person in the world gets to get whatever they want, why can't this girl have...
All right, start it over. Sorry. I was eating my chili, Alan. Talk for me. Talk. I don't like it. I hate this song.
I mean, this is it's quite madness. Kristi Noem being the head of DHS. We got Matt Gaetz, the Attorney General. You got
you got a Fox News weekend host being the attorney, the Secretary of State.
That happened when we were like recording last week, and I was like, I don't even know who the fuck that is.
Right.
Yeah, he's DOD, Department of Defense.
Department of Defense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a clue about what did we call him last week? Hog sex.
Yeah, sure.
A few days ago, Donald Trump's transition team got some news that surprised them. They learned that Pete Hegseth, the Fox News personality who Trump picked to be his Secretary of Defense, had entered into a financial settlement with a woman who claimed he sexually assaulted her in 2017.
Uh-oh.
Oh, apparently
According
he also
to
has
the
fun
memos-
tattoos. Maybe Christian.
That's a little
nationalist
exaggerated. That was a little exaggerated, though. Like,
is it? I don't know.
I've seen it. Yeah, it's not literally like a Nazi tattoo. I mean, and if you think about it, like everybody who gets reported by somebody in their group, it's because they don't like him. Like that one doesn't mean that much to me.
Sent to the Trump team by a person claiming to be a friend of the woman said that Hegseth raped her and that she went to the hospital where they collected evidence for a rape kit.
It's weird that the tattoos got more press than this.
That is
Local police in Monterey, California said an official complaint was made a few days later, but the charges were never filed. Hegseth's lawyers say he vigorously denies the allegation and that he only paid the settlement because he...
Yeah, vigorously is a weird word to interject in a rape story, right? I vigorously and strongly, I will pin you down and prove that this is not me.
And that he only paid the settlement because he was worried about being blackmailed. Because the settlement was confidential, It didn't come up as part of the vetting process when Hegseth was being considered to lead the Pentagon. The Times has learned that since the news came out, Trump told his advisors he would still stand by his pick. Trump himself was...
Big shocker. That was the biggest shocker of the whole story, was that Trump, fellow sexual assault
assaulter,
convicted sexual assaulter. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Like no, that's a plus actually. Good to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this? Is inside the selection process.
Trump
This is
himself.
more from the New York Times headlines edition, which is like I said, it's like a 10-minute podcast. I fucking love it. This is what the selection process is like. This is how he's been selecting these people.
The new scrutiny of Hegseth comes as Trump has continued to name key players for his next administration at breakneck speed. He's largely been making his decisions from the tea room at Mar-a-Lago. Aides flip through slideshows of potential picks on huge screens and play clips of their TV appearances, a crucial factor for anyone Trump is considering. This weekend, Trump announced that Chris Wright, the head of a fracking company, is his pick for Secretary of Energy. Wright has no government experience, but caught Trump's eye in part because of his appearances on Fox News. And last night, Trump announced that Brendan Carr will head up the Federal Communications Commission.
Should have been transportation, right? His last name's Carr. This is perfect.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Carr is currently a member of the FCC's board.
Okay.
And he's expected to use his new leadership role to wield the commission as a political tool for Trump, going after big tech companies he's claimed are biased against conservatives, and potentially punishing TV networks who air coverage that's critical of the president-elect.
Remember, there are outstanding lawsuits between Trump and ABC, and he's called to remove their license, broadcast
And
license.
CBS, yeah.
CBS. And CBS? I thought it was just ABC.
I thought it was CBS. Yeah. Either way.
Why not both? Why not Zoidberg? Yeah. I don't have any sounds about it because it happened this afternoon. Dr. Oz?
Yeah, so he's like going to be...
He's not going to be like a chairman. He's going to be the head of a sub-department that would be
Right.
under... All right, RFK will be his boss, Alan. Dr.
Yes.
Oz,
He's gonna
for
work
once...
RFK.
For once, I actually hold on. The actual doctor will not be in charge of HHS, but he will report to a Kennedy.
Yes, noted falconer
with the brain
and
worms.
poser.
I've got to continue the brain worms thing, right? Remember when we had Mr. Fun on, and I was saying that I like to think that the brain worm talks to RFK like the Spawn voice. Robert,
Yeah.
Robert, get the fluoride out of the water, Robert. Go kill a bear. Put it in Central Park. It'll be hilarious. Stage a bicycle next to it. Have people seen Spawn? Do they get this joke?
I think that they probably do. That it is wild though. I mean, noted, as you said, falconer and Bo's
Noted falconer.
carcass poser, I guess.
Wait, hold on. Falconing is a bond between the animal. You're saying that as a negative thing?
No, I'm not saying. I'm just. That's just.
That's just a
it's an
funny
adjective.
fact.
Yeah.
Noted falconer. Jesus. When was the last time you went falconing?
I've never actually.
Yeah. Likewise.
Yeah.
I got a clip from. You know what? This is good. So this is a clip from Congressman Nice Guy, kind of breaking down where we're at, what the process is. It ends explaining how. Okay, I almost don't want to play this because I feel like this will be a long second half. But by the end of this, he really ties it all together, talking about the ways that, in many ways, we might think that these people aren't going to get appointed. Matt Gaetz isn't going to get to be the attorney general. You know, RFK might not be the best fit for HHS. And you might think that senators might not approve that. Remember when Trump was on stage with Big Mike and he was like, you know, we have a little secret. I know that's the House, but I think we have a little secret, and there's a way to get everybody put through without the Senate approving them.
Oh, it's recess. Recess is fun. Everybody likes recess.
Do you want me to play the clip?
Play the clip.
I can't skip to the end. Let's see. Can I skip to? I'll just skip to the end. Alan ruined it here.
Been tried and would
no here. Good point, Alan. It's recess.
face a
When will it let me
a
skip?
serious
In a
constitutional
few seconds,
challenge.
it'll let me skip.
The
It won't let me skip
Constitution says the president can adjourn both chambers of Congress, can send Congress home, but only under extraordinary circumstances and only if both chambers can't agree on when to go home. It's never been tried, but the next president could try to use that power to send Congress home, keep them home for 10 days, and at that point, fill his cabinet as he pleases. This would be immediately challenged in court, and maybe he would lose, but maybe he rolls the dice. Whatever path this takes, it won't happen until next year. That's when the new Congress takes over, which means I won't be there. I was just elected Attorney General in North Carolina, and that job starts in January. But I'm still in Congress for the next 2 months, and I will keep you posted.
So the idea that it would get pushed through during recess, like he described, recess would only happen if the two houses can't agree on when to go to recess. So what that sounds like to me is the little surprise that Trump was talking about is Big Mike will find a conflict with the Senate as to when their recess is, and Trump will force them to go into recess for 10 days.
So if it's more than 3 days, then you can make an appointment and it just automatically happens, right?
It's 10.
Yeah, but it has to be more than 3 days of recess for the nominee for you to be able to do that. And so yeah, potentially Trump could do that. Mike would probably back it. It would probably go to the Supreme Court, which, as we
Why would it go to the Supreme Court?
Oh, people will. They will definitely.
What? How do you get a lawsuit?
Oh, how do you have standing? Right. Okay. So I can't explain that right now.
I don't think that you can.
Regardless of if it goes to the Supreme Court, as we've seen, is very Trump leaning. So it's not like even if it got there, probably just going to be upheld. But yeah, so and a recess appointment is good for 2 years. So the length of time of a congressperson.
Or the length of time of the Senate, which is 2 years. There's a rolling 2-year cycle that every 6 years they get replaced. Yeah. So yeah, I think that we found the answer to what he was saying. His little surprise was when he was talking to Mike Johnson before the election. As Alan was talking about earlier, the new head of the department, or the national security, national DNI.
DNI, Kristi Noem.
No, that's DHS.
Oh, DHS. Right. DNI. Oh, Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, but National Intelligence, Director of National Intelligence. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So the Director of National Intelligence, here she is.
Presidents Putin, Zelensky, and Biden. It's time to put geopolitics aside and embrace the spirit of aloha, respect, and love for the Ukrainian people by coming to an agreement that Ukraine will be a neutral country, no military alliance with NATO or Russia, and therefore alleviate the legitimate security concerns of both U.S. and NATO countries as well as Russia, because there'd be no Russian or NATO troops on each other's non-Baltic borders. This would allow the Ukrainian people to live in peace. Aloha.
I'm sure Putin would just love to embrace the spirit of aloha, Alan.
I'm sure he would. Also, I like it when she says non-Baltic borders. I don't know why. That just kind of, I don't know, turns me on a little bit.
I heard someone describe her as idiosyncratic, and I feel like that's very appropriate and polite.
That is, yeah, it's polite for sure.
She's very pretty.
She is. She's pretty.
Well, speaking of sex creeps, you want to talk about Attorney General Matt Gaetz?
Sure, let's do that.
Right.
How he resigned like 3 days before that report was going to come out. That's good times.
That's a part of it. You want to keep spoiling things? Like, I know you don't look at the list before we get there, but yes. Yeah.
I just have you full screen right now. I'm not even looking at this.
I know. I appreciate it. I'm saying I can tell you don't know that I have an agenda for how I would like to talk about Matt Gaetz. And that's probably like third or fourth on the list. Okay. We're going to start with one of his coworkers, a fellow Republican, talking about why he doesn't like him.
This is a guy that the media didn't give a time of day to after he was accused of sleeping with an underage girl. And there's a reason why no one in the conference came and defended him, because we had all seen the videos he was showing on the House floor that all of us had walked away of the girls that he had slept with. He'd brag about how he would crush ED medicine and chase it with an energy drink so he could go all night. This is obviously before you got married. And so when that accusation came out, no one defended him, and then no one on the media would give him a time of the day. All of a sudden, he found fame because he opposed the Speaker of the House back in November, and he's always stayed there. And he was never going to leave until he got this last moment of fame by going after a motion to vacate.
That's Mark Wayne Mullen, Republican of Oklahoma. And if I'm not mistaken with my Oklahoma senators, I think he's the guy that tried to fight the Teamster president.
Oh,
remember the guy? He,
I
took
do remember
his wings
that.
off? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So not exactly a dove in this situation, right? Like,
no, not at all.
But there's factions within this shit, right? Like there's the diehard MAGA factions, there's the conservatives, the Republicans, and then there's, which is what we're talking about when we talk about like whether it actually goes to the Senate to confirm him or not. Getting enough people in the Senate to confirm some of these people is going to be a bit of a stretch. Like the Senate majority, as it's constituted, is not enough for him to win. Let me say that. The Senate majority is enough for him to win, but it doesn't account for defections. And he's not a popular person, as is the case with that right there, right? When Matt Gaetz was trying to get dumb Kevin kicked out from being in charge of the Senate or the House.
The House.
He I think his name got put on the ballot at one point, and he got like 13 votes out of 400 or whatever, right? Yeah. So not a popular guy. Nobody likes him. Here is dumb Kevin, as I just mentioned. Here's dumb Kevin. We've played this clip before. This is after Kevin McCarthy lost his position as Speaker of the House. He was speaking. I can't see where he's doing this speech at, but he's doing a little sit down round table thing.
The truth why I'm not Speaker is because one person, a member of Congress, wanted me to stop an ethics complaint because he slept with a 17-year-old. An ethics complaint that started before I ever became Speaker, and that's illegal, and I'm not going to get in the middle. And I'll give you the truth why I'm not Speaker. It's because
that's it. We played that before, but I think it's worth remembering. People don't like him, and
definitely worth remembering. Yeah.
And I mean, this is Alan. This is the part of the show that you've been wanting to say. So if you can pad for me and talk about him sleeping with 17-year-olds as much as you can while I get this next video loaded.
I mean, he really liked showing it off too. That was the thing. Like
it was weird that he was like going around with his phone to his coworkers.
He was
right?
like showing people like videos and photos, and it was just kind of gross, and nobody liked it.
And we've worked with those people before, right? Like you're like, dude, I don't want to see you bragging about this shit, right? Look at this chick I bagged this weekend, right? Like,
yeah,
he's that guy.
He's that guy. He's that guy. He's from Florida. What do you expect?
He's from the Panhandle, Alan. He's from fucking. It's basically Alabama. He's from the Pensacola area. It's basically Alabama.
It might as well be. Yeah.
It might as well be. Yeah. I mean, they've got a military. Well, Alabama's got military bases. The Blue Angels are over there, Alan. His dad was a medical guy. He made like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Medical guy. That should be.
Shut up, Alan. God, I'm going to fight you right now. I don't remember what his dad had, like a bunch of hospitals or something, and he sold them for like $400 million and became a politician, a local state senator. And then that's what got Matt, or forehead enthusiast, Matt Gaetz. That's what got Matt into his political stance. So like, he's a rich fuck. He's a rich brat. He's somebody with a silver spoon. So you can see why Trump likes him. He's like, oh yeah, Daddy got you his money. You got allegations. I like this guy. I like the cut of his jib, you know?
And now you're AG. That's gonna, yeah.
So talking about him with a 17-year-old girl, let's not forget this clip has been doctored. It's too good. It's better this way. This is him on Tucker.
They're saying there is a 17-year-old girl, a 17-year-old woman who
Wait, that was the whole thing.
you had a relationship with. Is that true?
A 17-year-old woman.
He did say that. That part's not doctored. It just wasn't responded. He didn't interrupt him with it.
So they're saying there is a 17-year-old girl,
A 17-year-old woman.
It doesn't change the fact that he chose to say 17-year-old woman. Like
that. Yeah, that was a choice. That was definitely a choice.
So I have a clip that can give you a summary of all of these allegations. So if you do know all of this already, good on you. I'm pretty astute and in the know about how things go in this on this subject and in politics in general. I'm a policy wonk, Alan. The thing with this story that anybody who's really plugged in will say is, well, the Department of Justice didn't pursue those charges. Mm-hmm. And you say, yeah, well, the House had an ethics investigation that was ongoing. As Alan interrupted earlier, they was going to be released 3 days after he resigned from office to take the position that Trump offered him.
Right.
Well, why did the Department of Justice drop the case? And what were the details of that case? Well, we don't know all those things because the DOJ isn't going to share that. And the lawyers are speaking now. I'll play you another clip in a minute if you don't spoil it, Alan. That we'll talk about what the lawyer's case is, or excuse me, what the victim's case is. But the victims dropped it because they didn't want to have their lives ruined again by having it be a media spectacle. So they asked to have it dropped. Because of that, the DOJ dropped it. And there was sort of like, at least the House Ethics Committee is looking into it. We'll get some sort of resolution. But you never heard anything at all after that. So here's the thing. People like our good friend Paul was saying, oh, it's funny how these things all come out now. It's like, yeah, they came out now because the House dropped its ethics investigation. The lawyers weren't going to talk about it because that would be interfering with an investigation.
Right.
Once it's dropped, that is the appropriate time to talk about it. The weird timing is the fact that he resigned from his job just in time for them to not release the findings of the ethics investigation.
Somebody's got to leak that. Somebody's got to leak that.
Yes, I think so too. Now, if you want to know what the smoke is around the supposed fire, here is the best way that they can summarize it, given all the clues that the investigative journalists have been able to find.
Gates began to cavort around with Greenberg and with Greenberg's friends to show up to these parties. There would be recreational drugs at these parties. There would be...
Doesn't matter who Greenberg is. He's a part of this story. That's a key part that you're going to hear later on. So this guy Greenberg.
Sex at these parties. And in addition to by federal authorities for a variety of things, including having sex of the lobbyists and
God damn it. Here.
Gates began to cavort around with Greenberg and with Greenberg's friends to show up to these parties. There would be recreational drugs at these parties. There would be sex at these parties. And in addition to the lobbyists and elected officials, there would be women who were not of politics who were there. Some of them were from an escort service. And
women who were not of politics.
From an escort service, and at least one of them was under the age of 18. This is what attracted the attention of the feds. When Joel Greenberg was nabbed by federal authorities for a variety of things, including having sex apparently with a 17-year-old girl, Greenberg pled guilty to this offense and right away began to supply them with information to the effect that Gates was doing the same thing. So the feds began to conduct a federal inquiry into Gates, but ultimately they dropped the case. And,
why?
They dropped it apparently because of two things. First, that they couldn't get enough information, and the information that they could get was coming from people who might not look so great before a jury, either because they were involved in the crimes themselves or had criminal records of their own. And so it just became a heavy lift. No, this is informed speculation, Sabrina, because the reality is that the Department of Justice never announced, we are closing this case, and we are closing this case for the following reasons. So this is the best we've been able to infer from Justice's behavior, but close that they did.
So the fact that they did that and the way that they did that is giving the people that want to be fanboys of these politicians, which I'll never fucking understand that shit.
Yeah.
Reason to say he was what's the word? He was vindicated or something, right? Like of all charges. Like they dropped it. You know, it's like, if that makes you feel better, yeah.
Okay, so the DOJ effectively shutters its case against Gates.
But that's the end of the clip. That's the end of the clip. Sorry. So where am I on the sheet? So the ethics investigation was about three things: him showing porn to his coworkers while at work,
right,
and bragging about who he fucked over the weekend. Also, allegedly fucking his staff and using his campaign funds inappropriately. Whether or not that's Venmo to pay 17-year-olds that he also was having sex with is unclear. But those are the three things. So it may not be the most salacious of these details. It could be campaign finance. It could be sleeping with his coworkers, or it could be, you know, these underage dalliances, to put it very politely. I don't think that any of those three things should be on the allegation list of people that should run the fucking Department of Justice.
It does seem odd. Yes, that is an odd choice for your head of DOJ. I guess in Trump world maybe it's not, but a lot of these nominations just seem like sort of like FUs anyways.
So I think Magistan has learned that if somebody has allegations against them from people we don't like, then it means that they're after him, and that is a good sign. That means if they're getting attacked by these people, that means they're the right person.
Yeah, that seems right. Yeah,
and the reason I believe that, instead of it just being like an offensive statement towards a group of people, is that they are attracted to people that provide simple solutions for complex issues. And that's a very simple way to look at that and be like, well, that solves that. I don't have to think about this anymore, right?
Yeah, totally.
I want you to, I'm going to play this. So this is the lawyer going on the news the last couple of days. So this is 2 days ago when you're hearing this. This is yesterday for me and you. This is the lawyer of the victims finally being able to talk about it now that it's no longer. So like Alan said, he resigned from the position in the House so that he could have, see, you don't have to resign from that position to accept the nomination that you haven't received yet. Talk about that. I gave you a lot of shit for interrupting earlier. Talk about that.
No, he didn't have to, so he could still serve out his term, but this report was supposed to be coming out this week, and so he was just like, nah, fuck it. Deuces, I'm out. And
because if you aren't a member of the House, then an ethics investigation cannot be continued because you're no longer a part of the body of the House.
I'm not there anymore, bro.
Them's the rules, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so I think there is a good chance that report will still get leaked, but everything we've heard is that the stuff that was in that report, which I assume he's going to talk about, are pretty damning.
Let's hear it.
She arrived.
While we hear this, imagine this actually changing anybody's mind in the cult, though.
At the party, she had sex with Representative Gates within minutes of her arrival. Later on, when she was walking out to the pool area, she observed to her right Representative Gates having sex with her friend, who was 17 at the time.
And on this question, she's absolutely sure.
She's absolutely certain that she observed, seen her friend and Representative Gates having sex against what she described as a game table of some sort.
I will say this is the part of the conversation where I want to say Madison Cawthorn was right. He was talking about these fuckers having these sex parties that he'd get invited to in his wheelchair. And he's like, I can't. I need to wrestle my cousin on the bed.
If the House Ethics Committee report were to be made public, what do you think it would reveal?
My clients want to know that this happened and it's real. They didn't vote in the last 2 elections. They don't care one way or another. But they do want the public to know that they are not lying. They did not come forward willingly. They've never spoken to anyone without the force of a legal subpoena. The testimonies of her and the other 11 individuals that testified would show that this actually did happen, and the American people would know, and they could decide if that's the person they want to be the next Attorney General of the United States. She arrived at the party minutes of her...
Stop it. Don't want to hear that again, ever. Like, really be cool not knowing all that.
It's pretty gross, man.
So...
Also, like, within minutes, like, she just shows up, and he's just like...
Oh, now you don't believe the victims, huh, Alan? Oh, saying that doesn't make sense. He's crushing Viagra's and drinking rock stars. Like, he's as soon as they walk in, he's pouncing on them. Somebody else is going to get her. That guy, Madison Cawthorn's going to get her.
Sure. Yeah, that makes
probably
sense,
looked a little bit like his cousin. Mm-hmm. That's still weird that he was wrestling his cousin, and he doesn't have legs that work. I've seen the video. I know it happened. It's also
We've
weird
all
that
seen
it
the
was
video,
recorded.
Dustin. We've all seen it. It's not.
Did you see Woodrow Trilson posted a thing about that, and then with a bunch of like wheelchair puns in it, and Madison Cawthorn commented, "I forgive you, brother."
No.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Gotta give him, dude. I kind of like the guy. All right. I'm going to read you a quote from a tweet from earlier today, and I'm going to have you guess who tweeted it. Okay.
Okay.
For my Republican colleagues, so cut it to about half there, right?
Mm-hmm.
For my Republican colleagues in the House and Senate, if we are going to release ethics reports and rip apart our own that Trump has appointed, then put it all out there for the American people to see. All was capitalized. Yes, all the ethics reports and claims, including the one I filed, all your sexual harassment and assault claims that were secretly settled, paying off victims with taxpayer money. The entire Jeffrey Epstein files, tapes, recordings, witness interviews, but not just those. There's more. Epstein isn't the only asset. If we're going to dance, let's all dance in the sunlight. I'll make sure we do. Guess who said this?
Wow. All right. So I was thinking Big Mike at the front, and then no, not at all.
He's not that spicy. Come on.
No, and then it's like maybe AOC, but then no.
Republicans, fellow Republicans.
Yeah. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes.
Wait, really?
Yes, Space Lasers herself. Yes, yeah. Let her cook, man. All right, I'm back on board. Here we go. Bleached blonde, butch-bodied, bleached butthole, whatever. Gotta give Bob credit for that one.
I think we should just call her Magic the Gathering going forward.
MT, yeah, I know. She really ruined that, right? I used to play that game. I liked Magic the Gathering.
It was a good game. Yeah.
I mean, it's still a thing. People love it.
Yeah.
I haven't played it in 30 years. Wow, I'm that old, Alan. It's a good thing. It happens if you're lucky. Here's a little montage of our future Attorney General, Matt Gaetz. Here's him over the years.
Made it a living hell for the swamp rats, and many of them are retiring now. If the Republicans are in the majority and I have subpoena power, I will personally investigate BLM like I'm a Soros-funded prosecutor going after the Trump organization.
Just for context, when you're hearing this, he will have that authority if he gets this position. So I'm going to continue the montage.
We're ashamed of nothing.
Seize the day.
We're proud of the work that we did on January 6th to make legitimate arguments about election integrity. We are going to go after this administrative state, and we're going to start at the Department of Justice and the FBI.
We either get this government back on our side, or we defund and get rid of, abolish the FBI, CDC, ATF, DOJ, every last one of them.
Those are his words in public.
That's your guy. Who's that? Ari Melbourne?
Ari Melbourne. Yeah, Melbourne.
Still want it to be Melbourne. He's not very Australian. Oh, do you remember this? This was we weren't doing a show at the time. I think I remember hearing this on the Mike O'Mara show. So this crossed out of politics and into entertainment, like Mike O'Mara show was. This is when Hegseth was doing his weekend show on Fox. This is prior to COVID.
I've washed my hands for 10 years.
He says, I've never washed my... Wait, start it again. It starts too quick.
I've washed my hands for 10 years. Really, I don't really wash my hands ever.
Help me!
No, I inoculate myself. It's just not, germs are not a real thing. I can't see them, therefore they're not real.
So you're becoming immune to all the
exactly,
bacteria.
I can't get sick. I don't think I've washed my hands for 10 years.
So I am not going to do the thing that everybody does with this clip and take him literally. He was being an entertainer. I don't think he literally doesn't wash his hands. Although, you look stupid. Like, you know, like he was trying to do a joke. It was kind of funny and kind of entertaining. And he just kind of looked dumb. But yeah,
Germs aren't a real thing. Totally.
Germs aren't real because I can't see them. Again, he didn't mean that literally. And I don't want to fall for it. Look, I can go down another path and we could be successful with the left and talk about how this is why we're never going to be successful podcasts. We don't pander to either side enough. It's funny. It is a funny clip. He wasn't being serious. He wasn't being serious. And I know it's not good radio to say that, but whatever. Radio. Tune in.
Is he ever being serious? I don't know.
Yeah, he's serious when he says that we need to get rid of woke in the military. And to be honest, not going to catch me saying that's a mistake, honestly. But I don't really know enough to get into that. I just don't think it's going to be helpful with war fighting. Is that a fine thing to say? Like, is that an okay thing to say? Like, I don't know how that translates to being an effective military force. I'm sure you feel the same thing inside you that I feel, which is maybe I am not the best person to comment on this. But I will say, from my outsider, I'm a culture war veteran, and I will say, from a culture war perspective, I don't understand how arguing about this is going to help us be better at war fighting.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
I can sign off on that.
Yeah. Let's talk about RFK a little bit. We'll set it up with this clip. I'm going to kind of go back and forth with RFK on this. I'm going to start off with this clip, kind of dunking on him on the subject of vaccines, but you'll hear me later on saying things that sort of counter this. But this is a funny clip. This is them catching him in some. I never said that. Oh, well, why don't we play the clip?
Have gained notoriety.
Sorry, I got to work on my RFK.
For your skepticism about vaccines. And over the summer in an interview, you said, quote, "There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective." Do you still believe that?
I never said that.
So stop me. We have the clip. Please play the clip.
I've
talked about that the media
Hey, it's Lex Friedman.
Hey.
slanders you by calling you an anti-vaxxer. And you've said that you're not anti-vaccine, you're pro-safe vaccine. Difficult question. Can you name any vaccines that you think are good?
I think some of the live virus vaccines are probably averting more problems than they're causing. There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective. What I'm saying is that none of the 72 vaccines has ever been tested in a safety study pre-licensing.
So let me ask you if you think it's wise.
They're just going to keep trying to get him in a gotcha. And based on what I intend to say later on, I don't need to play more of them doing that. That's CNN. That is pretty funny, though, right? Like, oh, well, here's you exactly saying that, right?
Here's you saying the thing.
Yeah. I think his vaccine take is more nuanced than the way that most of the media and the left wants to frame him. And it's not convenient to share it that way while you are being oppositional to the incoming administration. So they're taking the easier way of framing it. And I think that's going to cost them in terms of coping with reality. Because I think he's a vaccine skeptic, which is a fine thing to say. I think it's fine to be vaccine skeptical. I think it's fine to be skeptical of vaccines. I think we recently had an incident happen where we all had to make a decision about whether we took a vaccine or not. And I think we all became vaccine skeptics, at least for a time period, and maybe still. But, I don't think that you should be the opposite of that. I don't think you should be like a blanket accept all vaccines. I'm not going to be skeptical about what this does to me,
Can we just take the vaccine part out of it? He's a weird fucking dude.
Well, we have other stuff. I want to talk about the vaccine thing first.
Okay.
So on the subject of vaccines, there's things that he wants to do that I'm all for. He wants to remove the liability shield that Big Pharma has with their vaccines. I don't think that it's in anyone's interest, other than pharma, for the government to give a liability shield to the vaccine manufacturers. If it turns out that it's going to get all of us sick and it cripples your company and you have to give all of us $1.75 when you break down your billions of dollars of a settlement and that's all the money you have, like it should bankrupt your company. We're trusting you. Like you don't get that government contract and have the government say this is safe and effective without you being literally on the hook for it not being that. Like you don't get a liability shield. I think that's bullshit. And I like that. I like that stance. I have no qualms at all about that.
So why is that there? Is that it's there because you want companies to innovate without being afraid of litigation?
That and donors, you know, they own the politicians. Like there isn't anybody in this. The CDC protects them, or not the CDC, but the FDA. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like right, you're struggling to come up with a good reason. Like, who cares what the fucking reason is? You don't get to not get sued. You don't get to not get sued. Like, name another industry where you'd be fine with that.
Cops.
Yeah, you'd be fine with it, right? Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Like, if you think qualified immunity is bullshit, then you should expect that vaccines should get sued. Vaccine manufacturers should not be, have a liability shield. Dude, thank you. One fucking word. I've been so mad at you for most of this episode. That was fucking perfect. Cops. Why are you so sweaty? I was watching Cops. I will say this as a counter to that. He won't ban vaccines, but he doesn't really believe that people should. He thinks people should be able to not vaccinate their kids, which former libertarian, I don't think that people should have to vaccinate their kids. I want everyone to vaccinate their fucking kids because I don't want us all to have polio and mumps and measles and all that.
Sucked. But also, mostly states have the ability to make that happen.
And he has the federal
level. That's not really a thing. So
that's true. So let's deal with concerns that people have about him being in charge of HHS. That won't change that.
No.
So who cares? Who cares what he believes? On that,
gangsters don't care about the president, dude.
Exactly. I will say, let's go back to flaws though. I told you I'll vacillate with this.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He believes the Lancet story that has been completely rebuked debunked that from Bunk County, North Carolina. That's been completely debunked. That see my Jeopardy brain. That we can never make clips from this show because I go through all these tangents while I make my points. He believes the Lancet story from that debunked doctor that said that autism is caused by vaccines. Like has been like, look, if you're the last person on earth that thinks that that's still possible, believe this podcaster. Apparently you'll believe people. Believe this podcaster. It has been proven. Now, if you'd like to go look into it, you can find that truth. That truth is there, including that doctor saying that, well, I guess you got me, basically. Here's another thing he wants to do that I like. He wants to ban big pharma ads on TV. We're the only fucking country that allows that. Like, just from the nuisance perspective alone, if I have to see one more commercial telling me how to lower my A1C, I don't know what the fuck A1C is, but I know Guardia will help or whatever it is. Like, the little pill with a big story to tell. Why do I know that jingle? Why do you know that jingle? Because I watch football on Saturdays?
Yeah, no,
I would love that to get banned. Fuck that shit. Yeah.
Well,
cigarettes can't be on there.
Yeah, I agree. I'm down with that one.
All right. I guess I'm done going back and forth there.
Oh, okay.
I guess I do have I have this clip saved as a palate cleanser on the RFK subject with him on the subject. This is really truly a palate.
Can I just interrupt you for 1 second?
Keep looking at the TV. What's happening?
There's literally a Sky Rizzy fucking advertisement, like as we're talking, and I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I know it's a drug that people pay for. I don't know what it does.
Yeah. They really want. I know what Sky Rizzy. I know it's not a Pokemon.
No.
Long-time listeners know the game we'd play Pokemon and pills.
We did,
which I think Bob Foster brought that to us. I think he's the one that introduced that as a game.
That was fun.
Yeah, this is a Foster-heavy podcast.
Yeah.
So here is my palate cleanser of RFK.
Oh.
Might end up in the soundboard.
Nobody ever called me anti-fish.
Nobody ever called me anti-fish.
Nobody ever called me anti-fish.
Good point, Robert.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done, Robert.
I do have so I guess that's it for the Trump picks part of the show, which really only leaves us with a couple more people on. There's some more best of the right that we're gonna do. We got 3 clips of best of the left. We got I got 1 culture war, and then I got a final sound. I think we're gonna have a nice tight little show here, Alan.
Nice and tight. Let's go.
So on the subject of Trump's picks, and just. Do you remember when the first thing Trump announced was that longtime Republican advisor was his chief of staff, that Wiley lady?
Susie Wiles.
Susie Wiles, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the impression that got and the press that came out with that was, it's not going to be a fucking clown car this time. We got a serious person involved. Look at this sweet little old white lady. She's not, here for the culture wars. She's here to make him a serious president this time, right? Chief of staff is president too, right? Vice president is not president too. Chief of staff is president too, right?
Yeah.
I'm a policy wonk, Alan. That's what they say. Chief of staff is president too, right?
Indeed, yeah.
All right. We're stealing that from Alex Jones.
Yes, we are.
And that other show. But remember, guys, if you steal from me, you stole twice. In this case, 3 times.
Well, so just to speak on her for a minute. So she'd been huge in Florida politics for a long time. She worked for DeSantis for many years.
And then he made the mistake of letting her go.
Yeah, he let her go. And so when Trump was doing his speech, I think when he was doing his speech where he was, accepting the fact that he had won the election, and he did this whole thing where he likes to go off script, off teleprompter, right?
Yeah.
She actually was she went out and looked at, tried to make eye contact with him and was like.
She made herself visible to his line of sight.
Shut it down, essentially, is what she
They're
was
off
trying.
script. She could go up there and wave, but instead she just walked so that he could see her.
Right. And then he did. Which is probably one of the few people on the planet that could do that, I guess.
So we were promised there won't be any silliness in this administration. So this is our final sound for the cabinet picks. It's from the Reason Roundtable podcast.
Peter, you're from Florida. I was told that the Florida-derived chief of staff, Susie Wiles, was not going to have the clown car situation between Mar-a-Lago and the White House. So what happened?
Well, I think Donald Trump happened. And this is the thing that you see from...
I know you don't listen to the Reason Roundtable very often, but the guy that's talking right now is famous for having very unusual analogies. So all alliteration aside, here's him doing what he's known for.
Donald Trump happened. And this is the thing that you see from all of these cabinet picks when you take them in context, is Trump is not a libertarian. He's not a neocon. He's not a conventional conservative. He is some sort of Cronenbergian body horror monster of...
Are you familiar with Cronenberg? Cronenberg is The Fly. He did the Creatures. He's a Creatures movie guy. Remember in the original Total Recall where there's the head inside the stomach, just that body horror stuff.
Weird shit.
Cronenbergian body horror monster of a Republican MAGA person, right? It's just there's too many arms and some fingers where they shouldn't be, and you're it's kind of gross, but it's also you can't really look away, and maybe it's terrifying. On the other hand, it's wow, there's something really sort of sympathetic about it, and you don't really even know at the end if it's gonna live through the end of the movie, right? This is a The Fly situation. Has nobody seen David Cronenberg's 1980s?
Has nobody seen my analogy? And they all just get mad at him. I cut that part out. It's pretty good, right?
That was really good. Yeah.
Man,
very good.
I really just can't get over the fact that Trump nominated a dog killer to Homeland Security and a pedo to the Attorney General.
Cares, apparently. It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a couple other clips here for Best of the Right. This is tis the season for this part of the show. I say tis the season because there is a Christmas tree behind it. This is Melania when she was president, wife president, whatever that's called.
For Christmas. Oh, that's a nice one. I ask Santa for Christmas, peace on the world, health.
Ask Santa for
Piss on the world, hell?
Christmas.
Oh, that's a nice one. I ask Santa for Christmas, peace on the world, health.
Your husband may not like that. I don't know.
I think he does. It's what they say, Alan. It's what they say.
Peace on the world.
Hell. This is Troy Nehls, a Republican congressman from Texas, talking about how Trump says jump, we say how high.
So now he's got a mission statement, his mission, and his goals and objectives, whatever that is, we need to embrace it. All of it. Every single word. If Donald Trump says jump 3 feet high and scratch your head, we all jump 3 feet high and scratch our heads.
That's how separation of powers works.
That's it. There's no question he's...
We embrace every inch of it. Yeah.
I mean, that's... I hate to quote the poet laureate of the 90s, Rage Against the Machine, but they say jump, you say how high, you got a bullet in your fucking head. Like, you are describing a cult mentality. Like, it's like you are the machine being raged against, and you think
love that you quoted
Rage.
I love that. Just gonna, yeah.
Tip my hat to you, sir. Do you want to check back in on Alex Jones? I know it's been a little bit since we talked about him.
Sure,
but,
let's do it.
You want to just see how he's doing? I got a funny
Let's see.
clip that I think
what he's doing.
this is sort of like a palate cleanser, wrap up, best of the ride. I think there's nothing better we can end it with than let's just check in on Alex. See how he's doing.
I'm sure he's fine.
And I hate that, but what I really hate is watching One Life. And I'm like,
he's talking about video games.
Well, yeah, because I hate losing more than I hate begging. And it's not like I'm a baby bird sitting there in the nest doing nothing, like, mommy, give me food, meat, meat, meat. You know, baby birds, meat, 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 meat. Oh, the document, I'm sure I like that. Meat, 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 meat. I'll just keep doing it until we go to the document camp shot. Meat, 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 meat. There you go. Little beaks going up. So, meat, meat. Let's do it for the rest of the show. Meat, 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 meat. Fun. Meat, meat, meat. It's like a new mantra. Meat, 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 meat. Maybe that's Elon Musk communication. He'll like call up, I saw the transmission from Mars. Like, meat, 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 meat. Like Sesame Street. I was never a big Sesame Street fan when I was a kid because it kind of already come out when I was bigger. I just never liked it compared to Looney Tunes. I said it was out when I was very little. I guess it came out in 1970 before I was even born. The point was Sesame Street. But I liked Cookie Monster, and I liked the aliens would show up occasionally.
But I like Cookie Monster.
The aliens do show up occasionally. That's fair.
Yeah. He was talking about that meat. Nope. Now I'm doing this making fun of him. That man was killing time like a maniac. Like, rustle some papers around on your desk. Like, do something. Meat. Like, the cheese has slid off the cracker. Like, there was a time where I could understand the appeal. At this point, he is a raving lunatic.
What,
He really
what are we
is.
even doing? I don't. Yeah, we're just meeping over here.
Yeah,
apparently.
Well, like I said, we'll never make anybody happy because we insist on making fun of both major political parties and their sycophants. And when we're picking on the left, which is what we do in this show, especially in this segment, I don't think there's anyone better to pick on right now on the left than Destiny. I know you kind of like this guy. I can't fucking stand him. Like, watching him get dunked on. Sure, he has his moments. He's got a sharp mind, and he certainly can talk fast and spit out everything he read off Wikipedia right before he goes into some fucking debate. But listen to this brilliant idea.
One path forward that needs to happen. I think that Democrats that are benefiting from Democratic policies or from Democratic successes need to start cutting off Republicans from those benefits. So if you live in a major city, there needs to be less funding going out to rural areas. If you live in a blue state, you need to fight the federal government when it comes to transferring funds from state to state. Like, if you're in a red area and your economic productivity is low, you should suffer for it. Or if you're in an area and you're voting against like certain types of entitlement programs, if you're voting against FEMA, then your vote should be contingent on whether or not you have access to it or not, so that when they actually make bad decisions, they suffer for it. What did Republicans do after 2020? They lied about the results of the election. They broke into the fucking Capitol, and they still don't accept the results of that election. What happened this election? They said that this election was rigged. You sat here to watch me when Trump himself tweeted out, Philadelphia has crime going on. So no, fuck the soul searching. There needs to be consequences. So if you're voting against certain things, then you should lose access to them. I think it should be as simple as that. And then I think that's the quickest way to start connecting people's minds to the results of what they're voting for, because there's too much of Democrats having to turn the other cheek while still carrying the lesser productive members of society behind us. It's insane. It's unbelievable. One path forward
Dude. Yeah.
Like, how is that any different from Trump saying he's going to go after his political opponents? Like, that's the same.
It's not.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as saying, like, I'm not going to allow FEMA to help California wildfires because they didn't vote for me. Like, that's the same.
Or FEMA saying I'm not going to go up to a Trump house.
Yes, it's the same thing. It's all.
And what's that going to breed? That's going to breed people that feel like they've been abandoned by a political party and have an axe to grind and be willing to vote for the opposition. Like if anything, they're going to find out that you did that and go after the Democrats that they hate now.
I'm actually a little bit shocked that he's not smarter than that. Like, I thought he was smarter. It's like, that surprises me.
I think he is smarter than that. I think his emotions are getting in the way of it.
Perhaps.
Yeah, it's oftentimes the case. I paused this Whoopi Goldberg clip at a very opportune moment for the people on the Patreon to get to see. Look at that. I know I'm not the first person to say it. She looks like a predator monster. And in that picture, man, dude. So Whoopi Goldberg is about to tell us that she works for a living and she lives paycheck to paycheck. She gets it.
I appreciate that people are having a hard time. Me too. Yeah. I work for a living. If I had all the money in the world, I would not be here. I appreciate that people are having a hard time. Me too. Yeah. I work for a living.
Are you fucking serious?
Sister Act 2 money only goes so far, Alan. She burned through that in the 90s.
I mean, she can only eat so much cauliflower pizza.
She's not a food person. No. Does she love cauliflower pizza? Why'd you say that? You just tried to think of like some...
No, she like launched one. Like, it was her...
That's funny. Okay, so one of the weird facts I have bouncing around my head is... So Alicia Silverstone,
Silverstone
from the Aerosmith videos.
Yeah.
She, what's her name? Silverstein or Silverstone? Silverstein.
I think it's
Silverstone. Well, there's also Silverstein, Playmate of the Year from Basketball. They repeat that line a few times. Anyways, so the girl from the Aerosmith videos, the famous actress, went on to be a famous actress. Alicia Silverstein. That's right. Silverstone. Doesn't matter. She was on The View one time, like 10, 15 years ago, and she was like doing like a cooking segment, and she was like passing the food around to the hosts of the show. And when she got to Whoopi obviously didn't want to eat the food, but on live-ish TV couldn't think of a good excuse in the moment and goes, I'm not really a food person. What the fuck does that mean? I don't really like breathing, water, or eating. I'm not really a food person. So if you told me she launched a fucking pizza company, I was like, well, she's not a food person.
Well,
Ellen.
she was associated with Weight Watchers, and they had a cauliflower.
Are you thinking of Oprah Winfrey?
Wait, who are we talking about?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, Jesus!
You racist.
Christ.
You're so right. And then Oprah went on Ozempic and was like, fuck it, all this shit was fake anyways. Oh, that's so funny. I knew she wasn't a food person. Yeah, she drinks her Soylent Green and goes back to her tube. Oh, you're so funny, man. I love this. It's nice to be on a regular schedule too, because we've been doing these shows on Mondays and Tuesdays and having a week in between recordings. It's been nice to be back in our vibe here. Okay, I have two Biden clips. One of them is visually. This is all visual.
Okay.
So I'll describe it to the people that aren't able to watch it. For those of you who paid $3 fucking to join the Patreon, please. By the way, like, would it be easier if I said please? Like, just please join the Patreon. And you're in there, we'll get you into our little secret chat. You'll
There's
be
good
cool.
times
we'll be
over
talking
there.
with people. Yeah, and we'll get you in the group chat, and we'll be having some fun. As long as you're cool, though. I got to admit, not everybody that pays in the Patreon gets in the group chat, and I kind of appreciate that not everybody that's joined the Patreon has asked about that. Probably shouldn't have said it on the show. Fuck. You know, I put Max in there. Max isn't even in the Patreon. But I just figured, I talk about Max on the show all the time. Max fit right in. Him and Way doing their pro-Israel stuff in there, pissing off Toaster. Then Toaster drops his Palestine stuff, and I was like, look at you guys getting along. I genuinely, I'm not saying this look at what we've made. With no ego attached, I feel so proud that we have a place where I don't care if it's a small group of people. Some people have got together, and we it's what we've always wanted. It's we can all disagree and have fun together. I love it. I truly love it. It's been the greatest prize of getting to do this with you, which is all we ever did was a show with me and you. Okay, way off track. Here's Joe Brandon standing. So he's down in Brazil for the G20 meeting, and he's looking like John Hammond right before he rolls down the hill and gets eaten by compies. That's from the book. In the movie, he doesn't die. John Hammond dies in the book. He rolls down a hill and gets eaten by those little green dinosaurs. And, you should have read the book, Alan. I'm talking about Jurassic Park. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Crichton.
Yeah, Michael Crichton. Yes, noted author. Okay. Here's Joe Biden. He's going to finish this speech and turn around and walk into the jungle. At one point, a guy's going to walk across the screen, and then when he leaves the screen, he's disappeared into the jungle. Look at the jungle behind him. There's a path. Where the fuck does he go? Watch this. It's 13 seconds. Closes the book, turns around, strolls off. Doesn't go down the path. He goes off to the right for no reason. Where's he going? Ah, damn it. This wasn't the whole clip. You know what? That's fine. It was all video. It's all video anyway.
It's all visual. Yeah.
But he wanders into the jungle. As far as we know, he's never been seen again.
As far as we know.
I haven't seen it since then. This is a clip from before then. Mima sent this in. Here's an old clip, older. I actually don't know how long ago this was. This is Biden talking about some Latino facts, Alan. You want some Latino facts?
I do. I want some.
That
Did you know?
28 out of every high school student is Latino.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
That 28 out of every high school student is Latino.
28.
Out of every high school student.
28 out of every high school student is Latino, Alan.
When I first heard it, I was like, oh, he means 28 out of 100, but he didn't say that. He
didn't say that. No, he in fact did not say that.
He did not say that.
It's another battle in the culture wars. Oh, not the culture wars. They're worried about a culture war. Culture wars. Stop with the culture wars.
All right, we're going to land the plane, but before we get there, let's get a little spicy one more time. So this is the superintendent of public schools in Oklahoma, who is famous for insisting that they must purchase a Bible for every classroom. And just coincidentally, that Bible needs to include, now it's kind of an odd request. That Bible needs to be leather bound. Right. It needs to include the Old and New Testament. It also needs to include the Pledge of Allegiance and the Constitution of the United States. Man's law, not God's law. Also pledging allegiance to man, not just, I get so bent out of shape about the Pledge of Allegiance. A communist ploy, I stand by that. Look it up, it's a communist ploy. Pledge of Allegiance was always a communist ploy. It's funny that the people that insist. I worked at a place that made us say the Pledge of Allegiance in front of a flag. I was like, I'll stand.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, I was like, I'll stand. I'm not gonna sit here and look weird, but I'm not citing a fucking Pledge of Allegiance at a company meeting. You guys are weird, fucking Polacks.
We're excited to announce a new office here in the Oklahoma State Department of Education. That will be the Office of Religious Liberty and Patriotism. For too long in this country, we've seen the radical left attack individuals' religious liberty in our schools. We will not tolerate that in Oklahoma. Your religious liberties will be protected. We've also seen patriotism mocked and a hatred for this country pushed by woke teachers unions. We will not tolerate that in any school in Oklahoma.
So that's all subjective, right? Those are I'm good with the rest of this. That's all subjective. So it means as long as we have this department that can go after what we perceive this to be, we can prosecute you.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, that's yeah.
I didn't finish that story before. That Bible I was describing is the Trump Bible. That was the
Yes.
punchline. Big screw up on my part 3 hours into the show. So here's that same guy going on CNN thinking that, he's a big smart guy. You might run circles around these Okies, but you go up in New York City with these New York City CNNs.
Role in shaping this history. And you said no religion. Thomas Jefferson said our rights came from God. And again, look, maybe we all need to go back and study some of this, especially on CNN, to understand
Hold on. Thomas Jefferson rejected part of Christian doctrine. Thomas Jefferson promoted freedom of religion. One of his top 3 accomplishments on his gravestone is promoting a law in Virginia for the freedom of religion. Would you say that John Adams is a key founder of the United States? Do you think he is? Okay.
Absolutely. Talked about
John Adams signed a treaty, 1797, saying the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion.
We've got to get you in an Oklahoma history class because the next line is...
Let's talk about Oklahoma history, because Oklahoma, 48th in the country when it comes to education. Critics
I thought they were going to talk about land thieves.
say the money that you're spending on putting Bibles in every classroom, you've asked
Hey.
for $6 million, should be spent in other ways to better educate the students, because they're very worried about where Oklahoma is ranked in the education system.
We are in the middle of a turnaround here because we are following President Trump's agenda. This is the agenda for the entire country. We have school choice. We have merit pay. We are rejecting this left-wing ideology in the classroom. We are promoting American exceptionalism. And look, we are pressing students forward to see academic outcomes improve.
Why are you using the Trump-endorsed Bible? What do you say to critics who argue this is clear-cut political pandering right here?
We're going to teach American history in Oklahoma. So that includes the Bible, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution and Bill of Rights. They are all,
should not be in one book.
All included in this Bible that we've purchased.
You know what? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe the Pledge of Allegiance isn't in there. Maybe it's just the Bill of Rights. Okay.
The Bible
still man's law.
Will be back in every Oklahoma classroom. President Trump
Why
is
the
bringing...
Trump Bible, though? Why not a cheaper Bible where you could save a lot of money in taxpayer dollars?
I just told you. And again, look, the media doesn't have...
No, you didn't.
I love how we're talking about cheap Bibles. That's great.
You get them for free. I see them laying around. Almost at the school I work at.
Everywhere.
Yeah, they give you those little
them.
pocket Bibles. They give them, every school gets a pocket Bible.
To like it, but the reality is the American people have rejected this gaslighting and have put President Trump back in the White House with a clear agenda, and we are going to stand right behind the president every step of the way.
I think we're good here. The thing that pisses me off the most about all of that, though, is just that it's this like... Actually, that's not the direction I want to go. Allow me to pivot. What I meant to say is I'm not as worried. I'm thinking about how worked up he gets me, and I get my thoughts out of order. I'm not that worried about this because the fear is that they're indoctrinating children. Kids are resilient. Kids are smart. Kids are smarter than being lied to, especially something like this. Like, I grew up in a Christian household. If I went to school and they tried to interject all my book learning with everything that the Bible lady told me in Sunday school, I'd be like, oh, come on now. This is my faith side here. I don't need to hear that when I'm getting my facts side. Like, they're smarter than that. Like, I really actually have higher expectations of those kids to get through this moment. I don't think this will last long. There is fear of the indoctrination of it because that's the concern. That is the valid concern. And I'm not saying let it happen, but I'm saying if it happens despite people trying to fight it, I'm not that concerned that kids aren't bright enough to work through that.
Yeah, I guess I also grew up in a similar Christian faith household. There are knock-on effects from that, though. Like there certainly are effects for people having to grown up in that sort of situation. Also, Jefferson Adams is kind of like why we have the winner-take-all electoral college for states.
The Jefferson Adams election.
Yeah.
They hated each other, right? They died on the same day.
Well, so Virginia, some votes went to Adams the first time they ran against each other. And it was sort of embarrassing that Virginia had some votes that went to Adams.
That's right. And because there was a guy named Clinton that was in this too. I remember that. And that was part of the controversy. If that would have gone the way that they changed it to, Adams wouldn't have been president. And then when they went to name Adams Avenue years later, no, Madison Avenue, they wouldn't have called it Madison. They would have called it Clinton or Jefferson Avenue, because it wouldn't have been Adams as president.
Yes.
Wait, no, that's Madison. Never mind.
So
I got a different story.
you were close there. But so because Virginians were like, well, fuck, we can't say that we had some votes go to Adams. So next time it's just winner take all.
Because Jefferson was a Virginian.
Jefferson's gonna win the majority of Virginia, so he should just get all of their votes. And so, because
that's how the states have a winner take all.
That was the first one that started it. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I like to pride myself on knowing my history, and I kind of flubbed that there. But that does well segue us into our final sound of the show.
Oh.
Which I think is going to take us longer than 20 seconds, 45 seconds, which means this will be more than a 3-hour show, but just barely.
It's the way Thrash
Your
likes
final
it.
sound, I want to play a clip for you from the book I've been listening to by Timothy Snyder called On Freedom. He's author of On Tyranny. This is his newest book. I highly recommend it. I know a lot of people have kind of been burnt out on politics, and I've been going back to my books once I've kind of gotten through the news podcasts that I want to get through that I know help me be informed. But for those of you who want to take a break from some political commentary, aside from none taken, of course, this is a book I'd recommend. It's very philosophical, as much as being historical and political, and that's what this clip's about. So, if I were to summarize this clip, I'd say it's about history providing us freedom, and so the book's called On Freedom, right? So, understanding history can provide us freedom and break us from politicians that try to steer us into the politics of eternity and the politics of eternity and inevitability. Those terms make more sense if you've kind of heard more of what Timothy Snyder writes about. But I think you can understand how having an understanding of history frees you from that, because you understand better perspective of it all. If you don't get what I mean, you'll get it more after we play this clip. So let me hit play here.
History is a foundation of mobility and thus of freedom. We need history to slip free of the time warps and find our way to a more reassuring sense of time. When we think historically, we see structures inherited from the past, plausible choices in the present, and multiple possibilities for the future. Mobility depends on a sense of the future, which depends on a sense of the past. The same holds for freedom itself. We draw values from the past, consider them in the present, and apply them towards some future that we wish to realize. The practice of considering and combining values is impossible without a sense of time past and time to come. Nothing is entirely new. Everything has some instructive connection to past events. Nor is anything really eternal or inevitable. If we have the references, we remember that past catastrophes have been survived, overcome, and even exploited. Then the present seems less shocking and the future more open. The possibilities are more numerous than they seem, and some of them are good. Indeed, some of them are wonderful. The future could be far better than we can presently imagine. History defends us against the politics of inevitability by reminding us of the multitude of possibilities at every point. History undoes the politics of eternity by teaching us to learn responsibility from the past rather than resentment from the present. Confronting catastrophe, as we do today, we need to extend time, first backward and then forward, stretching our minds, extending ourselves. Indeed, to see our way forward, we will have to look back.
I like it.
I like when he talks about the four dimensions of it and the potentials that you have when you can recognize the choice that you have. Because he also talked about choice and values kind of being that fifth dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so highly recommend the book on freedom. Let's go out with me asking you a question, as we are wont to do. So going back to the subject of mass deportations.
Yeah.
Lighthearted, fancy free.
Super
so
light. Yeah.
Last time Trump had a nice little catchphrase like lock 'em up, but he also had longer slogans, right? Like, we're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a more robust campaign of, arrests, jailings, housing, and deportations, right?
Right.
So it's not as concise as lock 'em up, but we're going to build a wall. Mexico's going to pay for it. That's not exact. It doesn't really roll off the tongue either. So,
no.
But on that same vein, we're going to build a Bastille, and blue states are going to pay for it. You like it?
I like it.
All right.
I love America. Y'all let me in this damn house. Oh, how about that? Come in the name of peace. LMFAO. So what in the world is this?
Trump's pee-pee.
Why would you say something that stupid?
I come without explanations or solutions.
See you next time.
I'm a very sexy lady, cat turd. I will not suffer this harlot.
How great! An anti-American Marxist!
Ted Cruz, go fuck yourself.
Read the news.
China is asshole!
God bless the United States.
Now this is
podcasting.
Drive safe, dude.
Cheers. That was fun.